Yes. Yesterday we started with the concept of supply, correct? Yeah. So in that we have seen the overview of the section. In that section, how many subsections are there? Section 7, correct? In this chapter supply under GST, we will discuss two sections. Section 7 and section 8. Section 7 and section 8 will be discussed. So section 7 we will be having three different subsections. 7 subsection 3, 7 subsection 2, 7 subsection 1. Okay. So in 7 subsection 1, which talks about inclusions. Supply includes. Okay. In this we have 4 clauses. Okay. B, C. Okay. Like this 4 clauses are there. 7 subsection 2 is there, and one more section 7 subsection 1A is also there. 1 capital A is also there. 7 subsection 2 is there, 7 subsection 3 is there. So in this we have touched all this now. 7 subsection 1 clause A, B, C, and 7 1A we have touched. Okay, right. 7 1A is talking about supply includes all forms of supply. Okay, so whether it may be say all such as sale, transfer, barter, lease, license, rental, everything. Okay, all forms of supply. It is an inclusive, it is not an exhaustive list, it is an inclusive list. Right, all forms of supply. Made or agreed to be made for consideration in the course or furtherance of business. Okay, that means it should be goods or services. There shall be some form of supply. And it shall be made for consideration. And there shall be a business. Then it will be called as a supply as per section 7.1a. So if the conditions mentioned in 7.1a is not fulfilled means, then it is not a supplier. No, it's not like that. There are some relaxations, there are some exceptions. Okay, 7.1a is telling that it shall be of goods or service, there shall be some consideration, there shall be business activity. Okay, so even if no consideration is there, then also it can be considered as a supply. Even if there is business missing, then also it can be regarded as supply. Okay, so which will be given under 7.1b and 7.1c. In 7.1b, we are talking about importation of services, correct? Importation of services. In 7.1c, we are talking about supply without consideration. Okay, even though there is no consideration, then also it will be regarded as supply. So these are the list of the activities which will be given under schedule 1, which is a deemed supply. Correct? Which is a deemed supply. Okay, importation of services are there. Whether business may be there, business may not be there. That means business can be relaxed here. With respect to importation of services, still it will be regarded as supply. With respect to without consideration, there may be free supply of goods or supply of services, but if it is covered under this activity which is listed in schedule 1, then it will be a supply. Okay, even without consideration. So for importation of services without business. And AA is there, 7.1AA. 7.1AA is talking about if any person other than individual, supplying to its members or its constituents, okay, then it will be a supply. So it may be vice versa also. So let's say partner of a partnership firm is supplying services to firm, or a firm is supplying to partner for consideration, then it will be treated as supply. So 7.1AA is telling like that. Next 7.1a is also there, 7 subsection 2 is also there. 7.1a is with respect to supply of goods or supply of services. Supply of service or supply of goods or supply of service. It is a declared supply. That means if anything is covered under 7.1a or 7.1a or 7.1b or 7.1c, so if these activities are already supply, then we need to consider whether it is a supply of goods or whether it is a supply of service. There are some goods or there are some activities, there are some supply of goods or supply of services. It shall be declared in the way it is declared in 7.1a schedule 2. Why it is like that we will talk later. And 7.2 is there, which talks about schedule 3, negative list. Schedule 3 negative list. There will be a list of some activities, okay, which will not be treated as supply. Even though all the conditions mentioned under 7.1a or AA or B or C, whatever it may be, are being satisfied, but still these will not be regarded as supply. Okay, that is what is schedule 3. So yesterday we have made an elaborate discussion with respect to 7.1a, 7.1aa, 7.1b, importation of services, 7.1b and 7.1c as well, where we have started with the schedule 1. In that schedule 1, we have talked about 4 different activities. In that the last activity is pending now. Okay, 7.1c, read with schedule 1, where we are talking about deemed supply. Deemed supply means if activity without consideration, but still will be regarded as supply. What are those activities? We have 4 different activities. We have 4 such activities. The first activity is permanent transfer or disposal of business assets. Correct? Permanent transfer or disposal of business assets. Second activity is supply between related person and distinct person. The third activity is supply between agent to principal, principal to agent. Correct? Agent to principal, principal to agent. And the fourth activity is importation of services from a related person. Correct? Right. First activity is permanent transfer or disposal of business assets, on which input tax credit has been taken. Business assets are there. We have taken input tax credit on such as business assets. That means the GST which we have paid to our supplier has been taken as credit from our output tax collected. So in such cases, if such business asset is being transferred free of cost, then it will again be treated as supply. If it is treated as supply, means on that amount GST will be collected, that GST will be paid as an output tax liability. That is one thing. Next point is supply between related persons or distinct persons. Related person or distinct person. Related person definition we have seen. In that the main important is employer-employee relationship and members of the same family. Members of the same family, related person. So even though there is no consideration, a particular transaction is happening between wife and husband. So husband is doing business, wife is an individual. From husband to wife, goods are being transferred from his business. So in such cases, even though there is no consideration for such transaction between husband and wife, but still it will be regarded as a supply, because it is an activity covered under para 2 of schedule 1, read with section 7 subsection 1 clause C. That's why it is a supply. If it is a supply, then GST will be attracted. We cannot say directly that GST will be attracted, subject to some other conditions. Provided those other conditions are satisfied, the GST will be attracted. Right? Okay. So with respect to distinct persons, we made a discussion. What is a distinct person? We have seen the definition given under section 25. What is a distinct person? Related persons means persons having different PAN. Distinct person means person having same permanent account number. As per income tax, same permanent account number, but there is a different branch or different factory or different establishment in some other state. Then you need to get yourself registered in each of such states. So if you have different branches in a single state, for each such branch, if you want, you can take a separate registration. But it is not necessary. It is not mandatory to take a separate registration for each branch in a state. If it is in 2 different states, if a company having 2 branches in 2 different states, registration is compulsory for each such branch in each different state. That means it is a state-wise registration. It is a PAN-based registration. It is a state-wise registration. So in a state, different branches are there, means it is voluntarily to take registration between the branches. So if at all they are taking registration So for each such registration, it will be called as a distinct person. Registration 1 and registration 2. These are two distinct registered persons. So when the stock is moving from one distinct person to another distinct person, then it will be treated as a supply. That is a one entity only as per income tax department, but as per GST it is a different entity. Whenever it is moving, whenever the stock is getting transferred, then it will be treated as a supply. Again, this will be treated as a supply. So even if it is a supply, the GST burden will not be there, just a compliance burden will be there. How? In one establishment, at one distinct person, we are paying GST. At another establishment or at another distinct person, we are taking the input tax rate of the GST paid at the earlier stage. In that way, it is not a GST burden. Okay, got it? So this is the second point which we have discussed. But in this, with respect to employer-employee, there is an exception. With respect to gifts and perquisites. With respect to gifts and perquisites. So whenever an employer is giving a gift worth 50,000 rupees, up to 50,000 rupees, gift is being given by employer to employee, then it will be treated as an exemption. That means this is not a supply. Whenever the value is more than 50k, then it will be treated as a supply. And that too, if it is outside the scope of employment, then only it is a supply. If it is within the scope of the employment, then it is not a supply. At the same time, perquisites. Perquisites which are there in the agreement, which are there in the employment contract. If those perquisites are being provided to the employee by the employer, in such cases, there is no supply. If the perquisites are beyond that and the value is more than 50,000, on the entire value, supply will be charged for GST. Okay, treated as supply and supply will be charged for GST. And the third point is agent to principal, principal to agent. What is that? Stock transfer. Stock transfer. And that too we are only talking about the goods. No services are covered here. Okay, from principal to agent, agent to principal. See here we need to check whether the agent is having the power to issue the invoice on his own name. If the agent is having the power to issue the invoice on his own name or to receive the invoice on his own name, then the transfer of the stock, transfer of the goods between the agent to the principal, principal to the agent will be treated as supply. So that will be dependent on, see, principal is there, agent is there, customer is there. From agent place to customer, sale is being booked. Okay, for this sale, who is giving invoice? If the principal is giving invoice, the transfer from principal to agent will not be treated as supply. Okay, if agent is giving invoice, if the principal is giving invoice, it is not a supply. This is a supply. From principal to customer, this is a supply. Okay, if the principal is giving invoice to the customer, this is a supply. But the transfer between the agent, principal to the agent is not a supply. In the second case, principal is there, agent is there, customer is there. If the sale is being booked from here, okay, so for this sale, agent is giving the invoice to the customer. Agent is giving the invoice to the customer. In such cases, the supply between the principal and the agent will be treated as a supply, attracting GST. This is a supply attracting GST. In the same way, we talked about delegatory agent. Delegatory agent is a person. Delegatory agent is a person who will be guaranteeing the payment to the principal on behalf of the customer. Okay, principal is there, delegatory agent is there, customer is there. Okay, so sale is being booked to the customer from the principal, let's say from the principal. So consideration has to be given by the customer to the principal. But such consideration has been guaranteed by the delegatory agent. Consideration has been guaranteed by the delegatory agent. So in such cases, so customer is giving instead of customer, delegatory agent is giving the consideration to the principal. Okay, so on this consideration, delegatory agent is charging the interest to the customer, because on behalf of the customer he has paid the amount of consideration. So after 3 months or 4 months, when the consideration is being settled by the customer to the delegatory agent, in such cases he is charging some interest. That interest will be treated as a supply. That interest will be considered as a consideration. That means it is not a consideration. Okay, simply whenever you are extending loan against interest, that is an activity relating to the use of money, that is kept outside the ambit of GST. It is an exempted supply karke we have made a discussion. While talking about the definition of goods and services, money is kept outside the scope of goods and services as well. Okay, but activity relating to the use of money, activity relating to the use of money is a service again. So here it is a service. There is a consideration, interest to it, but this interest will not be charged for GST. So if del creditory agent is directly booking the sale, that means agent is giving the invoice to the customer. In such case, the customer is delaying the payment. Consideration has not been given. After 6 months, he has given the consideration along with interest. Now on the entire amount GST will be charged. You got this pointer? So this discussion we have made yesterday. So regarding it is a clarification regarding del creditory agent and a clarification on the interest. There are 3 services involved in one case. There are 4 supplies involved in another case. We have seen that. Okay, from principal to customer, del creditory agent to customer. Okay, agent to principal. This is one case. In the second case, principal to agent, agent to customer. Agent to customer, 2 separate services are there. At the same time, agent to principal. Likewise, 4 services, 4 supplies are there. Okay, we have made a discussion. Okay, so that is regarding the clarification on the agent. Now we came across this 4th para, which is with respect to importation of services. Which is with respect to importation of services. Regarding importation of services, we are making a second discussion now. With respect to importation of services, already we have made a discussion, correct? Importation of services, we have already made a discussion under section 7 subsection 1 clause B. Importation of services for consideration during the course or furtherance of business or not. That means business has been relaxed here. Under section 7 subsection 1 clause B, so importation of services for consideration without consideration. Okay, without consideration. If it is for consideration, section 7 subsection 1 clause B will come. Okay, whether business is there, yes or no, both the cases it will be supply. Got it? Importation of services for consideration, whether there is a business or not, both the cases it is a supply. If it is made for consideration, what will be attracted? Section 7 subsection 1 clause C will be attracted plus schedule 1, which para 4. Okay, this will be attracted if it is for without consideration. Right. Another condition we need to check here is from a related persona. From a related persona. If it is from a related person, yes means then it is a supply. If it is not from a related person means it is not a supply. Not a supply. You understand this? This is regarding importation of services. Yesterday we have seen an example also. With respect to importation of services, we have seen an example also. A lawyer, an architect service is being received by the brother of such architect for his residential purpose. Okay, right. See, here importation of services means if it is made for consideration means, and that too in the course or furtherance of business, we need not check. In the course or furtherance of business is present or not, we no need to check. If it is for consideration, this is a supply. As per section 7 subsection 1 clause B. Okay, if it is not for consideration, then it is falling under para 4 of schedule 1. Is or not, we have to check. How we have to check? If it is made from a related person outside India, then it is a supply. If it is not made from a related person outside India, then it is not a supply. Okay, right. See here, let's say we will be having a question: legal services or advocate services is being received by an advocate who is in London. Okay, na legal services from London is being received by a recipient in India. and there is a relationship between the advocate in London and the recipient in India. Okay, what is such relation? Is a brother relationship. Okay, so now he is taking services of an advocate, and who is his brother, and that too in India. Okay, so for the purpose of business, here. So this activity will be treated as supply or not? This activity will be treated as supply or not? Will it be treated as supply as per this? Sir? Without consideration, related person, supply or not a supplier? So the question here is whether brother relationship will fall under the definition of related person or not. Yesterday we have seen the definition of related person, correct? Related person definition we have seen. In the related person, members of the same family. Here the family means spouse will come, children will come. Okay, na? Whenever we are talking about parents, brothers or sisters, or grandparents, linearly ascendant or linearly descendant, they shall be dependent, financially dependent. Then only they will be regarded as related person. Here we are not telling that he is dependent on him, because he is doing business individually. Okay, so that's why the brother will not comes under the definition of related person, and hence it is not between the related person, and hence it will not fall under the category of para 4 of schedule 1, and hence it is not a supply. You got this point? Okay, right. So with respect to importation of services, we need to have a consolidated reading of section 7.1b and 7.1c, where we are talking about schedule 1 para 4. Okay, right. So we'll see here. This is para 4 of schedule 1. Importation of services by a person from a related person, or from any of his other establishment outside India in the course or furtherance of business. Here consideration may be missing, but for the purpose of business, and it shall be from a related person. Consideration may be missing, but it shall be from a related person and during the course or furtherance of business. Okay, right. See here, importation of services with consideration or without consideration. If it is with consideration in the course or furtherance of business or not, then it is a supply. If it is without consideration, related person or distinct person in the course or furtherance of business, then it is supply. Other cases it is not a supply. You got this? See this, importation of services with consideration, without consideration, in the course or furtherance of business or not. Okay, in the course or furtherance of business or not, then it is a supply. If it is without consideration, related person, if it is yes, supply. If it is not from a related person or an establishment outside India, or own establishment outside India, then it is not a supply. So this is about para 4 of schedule 1. So in schedule 1, how many paras are there? 4 paras are there. First point is permanent transfer or disposal of business assets on which input tax credit has been availed. Okay, now, so if the business assets are there, on that input tax credit has been taken, such assets are being transferred without consideration. Okay, so that is what is para 1. Para 2 is with respect to supply between related person and distinct person, and that too for no consideration. Para 2. Para 3 is transfer of goods from principal to agent, agent to principal. Okay, and the fourth para is importation of services from a related person outside India or from an own establishment outside India during the course or furtherance of business, without consideration, but during the course of business from a related person outside India. Importation of services means then it will comes under the scope of para 4 of schedule 1, then it will be treated as supply. So this is all about schedule 1, deemed supply. Deemed supply. Why it is deemed supply? Even though 7.1a conditions are missing, but it shall be treated as supply. Okay, that's why it is treated as deemed supply. It is called as deemed supply. So 7.1a schedule 7.1 C schedule 1 has been completed. Now moving to schedule 2. Now moving to schedule 2. Schedule 2 given under which section? Schedule 2 given under which section? 7.1 7.1a na? Schedule 2 given under which section? This one. 7.1a schedule 2. 7.1a schedule 2. Okay. So here. So 7.1a schedule 2 is, so once the activity is supply. Once the activity is supply. So whether it will be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. Whether it will be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. Those activities are mentioned here in schedule 2. Okay. Right. See here. Activities or transactions to be treated as supply of goods or supply of services, schedule 2. So why it is so important, why it is necessary means, in the previous resume before GST, there are certain activities on which there is a lot of confusion. Whether it will be treated as supply of goods or supply of services is the confusion. Let's say if you take restaurant service, if you take restaurant, in that supply of goods is there, supply of service is there. Supply of goods is there, service activity is there. Whether it shall be treated as supply of goods or supply of service. So in the earlier regime, VAT used to be there because it is a supply of goods. Service used to be, service tax used to be there because there is a service involved in it. Now in this resume, restaurant means it shall be treated as supply of service, even though goods may be involved in that. Even though goods may be involved in that, if it is a restaurant activity, then it shall be treated as supply of service. Likewise, with respect to immovable property, construction service is there. Construction service is there. So while doing, a contractor is doing construction service means he will bring some goods for construction activity. At the same time, he will give the service of construction. Okay. So at the same time, see, goods are involved here and services also involved here. Okay, both are involved here. Whether it shall be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. So that will be declared here. So it shall be treated as supply of goods or supply of services will be declared here. So likewise, some transactions has been addressed here based on the previous experience. So that's why schedule 2 is important in order to declare whether it is a supply of good or supply of service. So that means activities which are given under schedule 2 are already supply. We are not talking or we are not judging whether these transactions are supply or not. We are now talking these transactions are already a supply, whether it will be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. So that we are seeing here. Why there is a need for such clarification here based on the previous experience. Just like restaurant service, construction service. So we have an ambiguity there. So whether it shall be treated as supply of goods or supply of services or there is an ambiguity, and hence it is a clarification. So through schedule 2, there are some list of some activities. So which shall be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. As they are telling, that we have to follow. Even though there may be there may be cases where there is no justification so to treat it as a supply of service or supply of goods, but it shall be followed. Okay, right. So activities or transactions to be treated as supply of goods or services. So schedule 2, 7.1a, 7.1 capital A classifies certain activities or transactions constituting supply either as supply of goods or supply of services. Schedule 2 to the CGST Act contains the list of activities or transactions which have been classified either as supply of goods or supply of service. It is just a classification of supply of goods or supply of service. Right. In that the first para we are seeing now. First para. So activity is relating to transfer. That is a form of supply is transfer. So whenever you are transferring title in goods, see, whenever a title in goods is being transferred, possession also needs to be transferred. Transfer of possession plus transfer of title. Transfer of possession plus transfer of title. Then it shall be supply of goods. Transfer of possession plus transfer of title, it shall be treated as supply of goods. When you consider a hire purchase transaction, when you are purchasing something on EMI, ownership, complete ownership will be transferred. When you are purchasing on EMI, complete ownership will be transferred. At the time of purchase, it won't be transferred. Upon payment of the last installment only it will be transferred. Right here, the possession is being transferred. Right? In hire purchase transaction, possession is being transferred. But the title is being transferred upon the payment of the last installment. So that will be, let's say if you are purchasing a bike on EMI, that too for 36 installments, after 3 years ownership will be transferred. Okay, in such cases, even though the title is not being transferred, but still it shall be treated as supply of goods. It shall be treated as supply of goods, even though title is not being transferred at the point of time of purchase. Okay, it shall be treated as supply of goods. Okay, got clarity? Any transfer of title in goods, then it shall be treated as supply of goods. See here an example. Shivaji sells ready-made garments to its customers. Any transfer of right in the goods or undivided share in the goods without transfer of title. See, this is the example. Shivaji sells ready-made garments to its customers. That means title is being transferred, possession also being transferred, then supply of goods. See, whenever there is a transfer of right in goods or undivided share in goods without the transfer of title, that means it shall be treated as a service. It shall be treated as a service. Supply of service. So example, a machinery is there. See here, Genius Equipments Limited gives a machinery on rent to Suhasi manufacturers. Okay, so a machinery is being given on rent. Machinery is being given on rent. That means the ownership on the goods has not been transferred. The title has not been transferred. Just the usage of the machinery has been transferred. Usage of the goods has been transferred. In such cases, it shall be treated as supply of services. Renting of machinery is supply of service, because the ownership is not being transferred, title is not being transferred. Okay, right. So any transfer of title in goods under an agreement stipulating future transfer upon full payment this is what is hire purchase. Okay, if it is a case of hire purchase, then supply of goods only. If it is a case of supply hire purchase, it is supply of goods only. Here we are seeing 3 transactions. One is transfer of title in goods. So where the title is transferring, possession is being transferring, it shall be treated as supply of goods. Second one is transfer of title in goods, transfer of possession, but the title is being transferred at a future date upon payment of the last installment, hire purchase. That shall also be treated as supply of goods. But whenever the title is not being transferred, just the possession is being transferred, usage is being transferred, in such cases only supply of service. Okay, so here there is a word undivided share. Let's say A, B, C, 3 parties are there. 3 parties formed an association and bought one machinery, just say JCB. They bought it for 24 lakhs. Okay, each contributed 8 lakhs. They gave it on rent. Okay, so whenever they gave it on rent, so they are getting rent. They are given the machinery on rent, they are getting the rent. So this is supply of service. Supply of service. So whenever, see, if A want to exit, so he has to give to B and C. So what he is giving there? He is giving the share there. Undivided share. That he cannot split the JCB. So that's why there is an undivided share there. So whenever there is an undivided transfer of undivided share, it shall be treated as supply of service. Supply of service. Right. Okay. Next, land and buildings. With respect to land and buildings, see here, land and buildings sale. Land and buildings is sale. See, whenever there is a transaction with respect to land, a buyer is there, a seller is there, seller is selling a property to a buyer. Property is a immovable property, that is a land. It may be agricultural land, it may be commercial land, it may be plot of land, whatever it may be. It is completely outside the scope of GST. Because it is an immovable property, first of all, it is not a good land. Okay, at the same time, if you consider a building, an old building is there, somebody is having the ownership of this building. This building is being sold now to some X person. Okay, in this transaction, there will not be any scope for GST, because building is not a good. For a transaction to become a supply and a supply to be taxable under GST, first of all, the transaction shall be with respect to goods or services. Then only GST will come. Goods and services tax, kada. Then only GST will come. First of all, it is not a good. It is not a service. But activity with respect to land or activity with respect to building, there may be a transaction with respect to supply of goods or supply of service. See, land is there. Whenever you are selling land, It is completely outside the ambit of GST. Whenever you are giving the land on lease, there is a service here. Whenever you are giving the building on lease, building on rent, then there is a service here. So activity relating to the use of land or activity relating to the use of building, then service. If it is a service, then supply will come. Supply means GST will come. Okay. So if it is a case of sale or purchase of land building, it is completely outside the ambit of GST. But with respect to uses of land, uses of building, then it will comes under the service sector. Okay, right? So any lease, any tenancy, any easement, any license to occupy a land is supply of service. Sale or purchase of land, completely outside the ambit of GST, not in the scope of GST because it is not a good. Activity relating to the use of land, it is supply of service. It is a supply of service because service, supply, and that to consideration during the course or furtherance of business, that's why comes under the definition of supply. Okay, next, lease agreement for land is a supply of service. Okay, next, any lease or letting out of building for business or commerce, a shop let out in the busy market area is a supply of service. Right? Next, treatment or process. Treatment or process. Treatment or process. See, whenever the goods are not yours, but you are doing some job on the goods. Example, a carpenter taking wood from a customer, molding the wood to a furniture and delivering the furniture back. Just like bailment contract, delivering the furniture back. That means he is the goods is not his goods are not his property, but on the goods he is doing some work. He is doing some activity which is called a job work. Whenever you are doing some work on the movable goods, whenever you are doing some work on the movable goods, that to goods of others, on others' property, it is a job work. It is a treatment or process which will be called as a job work. Whenever you are doing job work, it is a service. You are not supplying goods here. You are just taking the goods. On such goods, you are doing some activity. Okay, just like a tailor, carpenter. Okay, so they are taking the goods, molding the goods in whichever way they want. So they are molding it and delivering it back to the customer. So here they are providing only service. There is a service activity only. So any treatment or process which is applied to another person's goods is a supply of service. Any treatment or a process which is applied to another person's goods is a supply of service. Okay, next, Damini dyeing house dyes cloths on job work. This is also a job work, treatment or process on another person's goods. It is a supply of service. Next, transfer of business assets. Transfer of business assets. See, we have already made a discussion with respect to transfer of business assets. Where with respect to transfer of business assets in para 1 of 7.1c schedule 1 para 1. Schedule 1 para 1. What we are talking there? Permanent transfer or disposal of business assets. Here also we are talking about transfer of business assets. See, permanent transfer or disposal of business assets without consideration, but on such business assets input tax credit has been taken. In such cases it is comes under the definition of supply. Here what they are talking, they are not asking us whether to judge it is a supply or not. They are telling that it is a supply, whether to treat it as a supply of goods or supply of service. Right. So whenever you are transferring it permanently, when you are transferring the business assets, and that too permanently, if you are transferring the business assets permanently, then supply of goods. Whenever you are transferring the business assets for a temporary period of time. Yesterday we have taken example of AC. 4 ACs has been purchased for the business use, but 2 ACs has been sent to the residence of the proprietor, of the business dealer. Okay. So if these 2 ACs has been brought back after 6 months, that is summer season has went. Okay, na? So after summer they brought back the ACs to the business premises. So for this 6 months, the AC has been temporarily transferred to some other premises. Okay, now some temporarily transfer of business assets has been happened here. In such cases, it is a supply of service. If it is a temporary transfer of business assets, then it is a supply of service. Whenever it is a permanent transfer of business assets, that means AC has been sent to the residence and it has not brought back. Okay, in such cases it is a supply of goods. Okay, whenever it is a permanent transfer of business assets, it is supply of goods. Whenever it is a temporary transfer, it is a supply of service. Permanent transfer, supply of goods. Temporary transfer, supply of service. See, goods forming part of business assets, transferred or disposed of, transferred or disposed of by the directions of the business, by the directions of the business person or businessman. So in such cases, it is a supply of goods. Okay, permanent transfer. Goods held or used for business, are used privately or for other purposes. Used privately, but it has not been transferred permanently, just used. Then it is a case of supply of service. Like a person takes furniture to his home for personal use. Okay, this is supply of service. Goods forming part of assets carried on by a person ceasing to be a taxable person. Ceasing to be a taxable person. So person ceases to be a taxable person means, see here, first of all we have to make a discussion with respect to taxable person. See, in GST there is a concept of registered person. There is a concept of registered person. There is a concept of taxable person. There is a concept of taxable person. Okay, registered person, taxable person. So a taxable person means a person who is registered or who is liable for registration. Who is liable for registration. Taxable person is a person who is registered or who is liable for registration. So that means, see, who is liable for registration? So far we have a knowledge of just a small provision with respect to threshold limit of registration. See, whenever a particular state dealer, so based on the states it has been segregated based on whether it is a good or whether it is a service dealer, then based on that also there is a segregation. So whenever you are dealing in goods, and that too you are operating in a state of, let's say state of Andhra Pradesh you are operating, then in such cases 40 lakhs is the limit. Goods, I told goods or service, sir? Goods Andhra Pradesh means 40 lakhs. Services Andhra Pradesh means 20 lakhs. Goods Telangana means 20 lakhs. Services Telangana means 20 lakhs. Goods Tamil Nadu 40 lakhs. Goods services Tamil Nadu 20 lakhs. So based on the state in which there is an operation, based on the type, that means whether it is a good or whether it is a service, based on that also there is a threshold, right? So whenever the turnover is being crossed over this threshold limit, then it is a compulsory registration case. Then it is a, there are some other cases where there is a compulsory registration necessity, but here based on the threshold limit also there is a registration requirement. So whenever the threshold limit is being crossed by a particular dealer, he has to get himself registered. So after being liable for registration, he may take registration, he may not take registration. After being liable for registration, he may take registration, immediately he may take registration, he may obey the law and take registration, he may not take registration. In both the cases, whether he is taking registration or not taking registration, in both the cases he will be called as a taxable person. You are getting this point? So he is liable for registration, first point. After being liable for registration, he may take registration immediately or he may not take registration. In both the cases he will be treated as a taxable person. That means he is a person liable to collect tax and pay GST. So if at all he has taken registration, if at all any person has taken registration, he is taking registration, maybe like maybe two chances are there. Like he is liable for registration, that's why he has taken registration. He is not liable for registration, but he has taken registration voluntarily. There is a chance. Okay, he may take registration voluntarily, or he is under the obligation to take registration. Mandatory requirement is that, that's why he has taken registration. So in both the cases he will be treated as a registered person. You got the difference between taxable person and registered person. So whenever that, when we call a person as taxable person means a taxable person is a person who is liable for registration, whether he is registered or not, he will be treated as a taxable person. If he is liable for registration, he will be treated as a taxable person. Who is a registered person? Registered person means who has taken registration, whether voluntarily or mandatorily. Okay, he will be treated as a registered person. See, so why this difference is so much important means taxable person is a person liable to collect GST and pay GST. Taxable person. Let's say a person is there, XYZ partnership firm. XYZ partnership firm. They have done a business, they are into service business, and they have 25 lakhs turnover. They have 25 lakhs turnover. Upon the crossing of 20 lakhs turnover, they have to get themselves registered. It is mandatory. In whichever state they are operating, they have to get themselves registered after crossing 20 lakhs. Okay. See, they have not taken registration. Then they will be registered persona. They cannot be called as registered person. But they are taxable persons, sir. Taxable person. Okay. So they are taxable person, they are not registered persons. They are liable for registration but not taken registration. Now they are liable to, being a taxable person, they are liable to collect GST and pay GST. Liable to collect GST and pay GST. They can take ITCR. They cannot take input tax credit. Being a taxable person not registered, they cannot take input tax credit. See, if at all you want to take input tax credit, you shall be a registered person. Registered person means you are liable to collect GST, pay GST. Can take input tax credit? Yes, you can take input tax credit. So if at all you want to take input tax credit, you shall be registered. For paying GST, you need not be registered. For liability of GST to be attracted, you need not be registered. If you are a taxable person, GST attracts. Input tax credit can be claimed, you cannot claim. Only registered person can claim input tax credit. But all the taxable persons, whether not registered also, they have to pay GST. They have to collect GST, pay GST. So they can pay GST, but they cannot claim input tax credit if they are not registered. If at all they want to claim ITC, then they have to get themselves registered. You got this point? Right. So that's why there shall be a clear-cut difference between taxable person and registered person. So simply we have already made a discussion. Output GST minus input tax credit, tax GST, goods and services tax liability. So obviously department will look for increasing the output tax liability. Department will look for deducting the input tax credit. So that's why there is a rule: registered person for input tax credit, taxable person for output tax liability. You got this, huh? Right. See here. So now they are talking about taxable person here. Ceases to be taxable person. Right. So let's say taxable person means registered person, we'll see. For the time being, we'll think of like that. Because see, we need to understand the difference between registered person and taxable person. But in this case, now taxable person means, let's say he got registered. He is a registered person. Okay, he is a registered person. Now what he is doing is, he has done a business so far. Now he wants to shut his business. So while shutting his business, there might be some stocks. There might be some capital goods. Correct? There might be some stocks, there might be some assets. Okay. So at the end of at the closure of the business. So on these stocks, on these capital goods, being a registered person, he has taken input tax credit. So if he is taking input tax credit means he is avoiding GST. Correct? He is avoiding GST. So he is purchasing the goods at a discount of GST. Okay, if we are purchasing along with GST, we will purchase. If the dealer is purchasing, means he will get the credit of GST, and hence he is getting the discount of GST. Correct. So he enjoyed the discount of GST. That means he has taken input tax credit, enjoyed the discount of GST. Now he is starting the business. Why he got the facility to enjoy the credit of input tax credit? Because he is doing business. Because he wants to use the goods in the business. Because he wants to sell off the goods, or he wants to be in the business. Now he is not into the business. So now what shall he do? Now what shall he do? So he has to reverse the entire input tax credit. Reverse the entire input tax credit. How he shall reverse the entire input tax credit? By adding it to output. How can we reverse the input tax credit? By adding it to output tax liability. By adding it to output tax liability, we can reverse the input tax credit. So how he can reverse the input tax credit? So by assuming all the stocks and capital goods at the point of closure of the business will be treated as supply. Will be treated as supply. Okay. Will be treated as supply. So that's what the point here is. In schedule 2, it is already declared as supply. So whether it is supply of goods or supply of services means see here. What they are telling? Goods forming part of the assets carried on by a person ceases to be a taxable person. Ceases to be a taxable person. So in such cases, supply of goods. In such cases, supply of goods. So Arun winds up a business, remaining stock deemed supply by him. Remaining stock deemed to be supply by him. So exceptions, when the business is transferred as it is, as a going concern, from one person to another, as it is, the business has been sold. Just the ownership has been changed. A proprietor sold his entire business to another proprietor. So what will happen here? PAN number will be changed. When the PAN is changed, obviously GST registration has to change, because GST registration is a PAN based registration. When a PAN is being changed, GST registration has to change. But so the goods which are there in the business are being carried to another business. The same will be continued there. Same business activity will be continued there. And hence input tax credit taken already is justified. Okay, and hence you no need to reverse the input tax credit. That's why it is not a supply. So whenever you are handing over the business as it is, that means as a going concern. This is an exception. When the business is carried on by a personal representative who is deemed to be a taxable person. Okay, personal representative is carrying on the business means then also, so it can be treated as a not a supply. Okay, no GST will be attracted. Right, correct? Next, renting of immovable property, renting of commercial complex, renting of precincts of religious place. Commercial complex means a commercial building. Renting of a commercial building, then it is a supply of service. Renting of precincts of religious place. Religious place means a temple. A temple is there. So there may be a rooms for accommodation. There may be shops for doing some business around the premises of the temple. So renting of precincts of the religious place, or renting of a property to an educational institution, permitting the use of an immovable property for placing vending or dispensing machines. In a shopping mall, commercial complex, so there may be a soda hub, vending machine. So in order to place the vending machine, they have to pay some rent to the building owner or commercial complex owner. So this is also giving on rent. So this will be treated as supply of service. So renting of commercial complex, renting of in and around the surroundings of religious place. So renting of a property to an education institution, permitting the use of immovable property to place vending machine or dispensing machines is a supply of service. Right. Next, construction of complex building civil structure. Construction of complex building civil structure. So what we are talking here is with respect to construction, we are not talking about the building. Sale or purchase of building is outside the ambit of GST. We are talking that only, no, immovable property is outside the ambit of goods and services, and hence it is completely outside the ambit of supply and thereby GST. Correct? Right. So now we are talking about construction activity. See, generally so if a project is being built by a real estate dealer or a real estate company or a construction company, so what will happen? While the plan or layout is being laid, then itself bookings will start. Correct? Flat bookings, when the flat bookings will be start? During the process of construction only bookings will be start. Okay. So that means what we are doing, see, let's say if a building is there, this is the plan, or 10 floors building is there, so this is the plan. So we want to purchase a flat. We wanted to purchase a flat. So during the construction, we went to the real estate company. We went to the real estate company and paid an advance of 10 lakh rupees. Actually, flat is for 2 crores. We paid an advance of 10 lakh rupees. Okay. So within, so builder agreed to deliver the flat within 6 months. Okay. When the flat is being handed over, then the remaining amount of 1 crore 90 lakhs will be given to them. Then it will be get registered. Okay. So in this case, the consideration is being paid. Consideration means part consideration is being paid to the builder, to the construction company during the process of construction. During the process of construction. In a way, we can look at the transaction that we are paying them for constructing a building. For constructing a building. So this can be treated as a service. This can be treated as a service. Supply of service. Supply of service. So whenever you go to the construction company, after the complete construction, when the flat is ready to occupy and it is complete in every respects, let's say it is a second-hand flat. Second-hand flat. That is a sale of building or sale of flat. That comes under immovable property sale. That comes under immovable property sale. Even if you are giving 1 rupee during the stage of construction, that comes under service. Construction service. That will attract GST. Okay. So that means construction sector there is a GST. Yes, there is a GST under construction sector whenever you are taking the consideration during the process of construction. Even a single rupee is being accepted during the stage of construction, then it will be treated as supply and supply of service. Supply of service. Supply of service and GST will be attracted. You got this point? Under para 5 of schedule 2. Para 5 clause B of schedule 2. Okay. So there is if there is a construction activity and during the construction activity, before the completion certificate by the competent authority or before the first occupancy, if you are paying a single rupee of consideration, then it will comes under construction service. Supply of service. So if the entire consideration is being paid after the completion certificate or for a second hand flat after the occupancy, then it will be treated as sale of a building. Sale of a building means outside the ambit of GST. Got it? Great. So this is what is para 5. Para 5, it is one such clause. So in para 5, clause B, yes, clause B. Clause A is with respect to renting of immovable property. Clause B is with respect to construction. Clause B is with respect to construction. See here what is written here. Construction intended for sale. Construction intended for sale. Okay. Next, to a buyer, except where the entire consideration, to a buyer, except where the entire consideration received after issuance of the completion certificate or first occupation. So when the entire consideration is received after first occupation or the entire completion certificate by a competent authority, then it is not a supply. If it is received during the construction, they are telling that entire consideration received, that is only the exception. That means if you are receiving even single rupee during construction, means that is a supply of service. Okay, supply of service. Next, temporary transfer of intellectual property right, patents, copyrights. Temporary transfer of copyrights to patents, then it is a supply of service. Next, development, design, programming, implementation of IT software. Development, programming, implementation of IT software. That means it is a customization of software. Customization of software. If it is a customization, then it is a supply of service. If it is not customized, if it is just it is a ready-made software, anyone can purchase it, then it is a supply of goods. If anybody could purchase a software, means that is a supply of goods. If a customized software, then it is a supply of service. Right. Next, we have already seen these words: agreeing to refrain from an act or tolerating a situation. While reading the definition of consideration, we have seen this: agreeing to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act. Definition of consideration we have seen. In the definition of consideration, doing an act or not doing an act or tolerating an act. Doing an act, not doing an act, or tolerating an act. Doing an act for consideration. Doing an act for consideration. Not doing an act, that is non-compete fees. Okay, or refrain from an act, or tolerating an act. Tolerating an act means, so delayed consideration. We are accepting interest. Consideration has not been paid. It is paid after 6 months. For this 6 months, we are charging interest. We are charging interest for this 6 months. So we are tolerating the delayed payment. For what consideration? For interest as a consideration. Tolerating an act for interest. That is also a consideration. So it is a valid supply. If it is a supply, it is supply of goods or supply of service? Supply of service. Supply of service. So agreeing to refrain from an act or tolerating an act. So cable operator agreement not to compete in a particular region. Okay, it is a supply of service. Next, transfer of right to use goods. Transfer of right to use. So which is machinery given on hire. It is a supply of service. Machinery given on hire. It is a supply of service. Next, composite supplies. Composite supplies, where we are talking about works contract. So we talked about this job work now. Job work. So whenever it is a case of movable property, movable or immovable. So it is a property. If it is a case of movable property, then it is job work. It is immovable property, then it is works contract. Then it is works contract. See here, goods of others. On this, we will apply some treatment or process or job. Then it is a job work. Then it is a job work. With respect to movable property, it will be treated as job work. Okay. So example, carpenter. Carpenter. So with respect to immovable property, it will be treated as works contract. So here, goods may be involved, service may be involved. That means material may be involved, labor may be involved. Both may be involved. Okay. So we are putting our goods as a contractor or as a builder. We are putting our goods. We are putting our labor. We are putting our material, means it is goods. We are putting our labor, means it is a service. But it shall be treated as a service. It shall be treated as a service. Okay. Works contract to service. So whenever it is a case of immovable property, when the material and labor both are involved, but still it shall be treated as a supply of service only. Works contract to service. Works contract service. So whenever it is a case of movable property, when the process or the job has been applied on other person's goods, then it is a case of supply of service only, but it will be called as a job work. It will be called as a job work. You got this point? So in 6 we are discussing that only. In 6 clause A. Para 6 clause A. Huh? Commissioning. Commissioning of, here in this works contract, we'll write it. So works contract involving immovable property, section 2, subsection 119, the definition will be given there. So there you will find many activities like construction, renovation, fabrication, painting, likewise many activities will be there. So with respect to immovable property, that is a supply of service. There in the ICA material we will study. Right. Next, with respect to food, beverage, supply for human consumption for consideration. That means it is restaurant and catering service. Restaurant and catering service. So with respect to restaurant and catering service, it shall be treated as supply of service. Supply of service. Restaurant and catering service, supply of service. So these are the six services. These are the six services. So which has been given under schedule 2, which shall be treated as supply of goods or supply of services as per schedule 2, declared service we can say, a declared supply we can say. So for schedule 1 we can name it as deemed supply. Deemed supply. Okay. For schedule 2, we can name it as declared supply. Declared supply. Deemed supply, this is supply without consideration, schedule 1. For schedule 2 we can name it as declared supply. That means supply of goods or supply of services, it has been declared. For schedule 3, it is a negative list where we can name this list as not a supply. Not a supply. Completely outside the scope of supply. If it is outside the scope of supply, then it is outside the scope of GST. So these are the three schedules. In that, schedule 1 and schedule 2 are completed. Schedule 1 deemed supply, schedule 2 declared supply, schedule 3 negative list or not a supply. Got it? In that, schedule 1 is completed, schedule 2 is completed. That means 7(1)(c) is completed, 7 subsection 1a is completed. Now we have to see 7 subsection 2. Okay, you just have a consolidated reading of this section, and there are many other examples in ICA metal. Just go through the examples. In the meanwhile, I'll open this definition of works contract. In schedule 2, we have this 6 paras now. Below that, each para we will be having examples. You just go through this example. Right, we have seen this example, sir. Okay, right. So now talking about this works contract definition. Works contract definition. Works contract means a contract for building, constructions, whatever the service may be. Whatever the service may be, works contract means it is a contract with respect to any immovable property. With respect to any immovable property, wherein transfer of property in goods, whether as goods or in some other form, is involved in the execution of such contract. See here, so contract means at any way we have to do the service. At any cost we have to do the service. Works contract, right? So along with the service, there shall be an involvement of goods. That is what is material. Service means labor. Service means labor. So you may deliver the goods as it is, or you may use the goods during the service, whatever it may be. These two elements shall be present. At the same time, that too with respect to an immovable property. That too with respect to an immovable property, then it shall be treated as a works contract. If it is a works contract, then it shall be a supply of service, works contract service. Okay, right. So here there are some forms of works contract service. These are building, construction, fabrication, completion, erection, installation, fitting out, improvement, modification, repair, maintenance, renovation, alteration or commissioning. See here, every word is self-explanatory, but with respect to commission, this is completion of a building. Commission means completion of a building in all the respects. Okay, commissioning of an immovable property, wherein transfer of the property in goods, whether the goods may be delivered directly or in any other form, and there is a service involved in it. So this is supply of service, right? Next, supply by way of or part of any service or in any other manner whatsoever of the goods, being food or any other article for human consumption or any drink. So this is with respect to restaurant, but other than alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So where such supply of service is for cash or deferred payment or other valuable consideration, then in cases that is also supply of service. That means restaurant and catering service. Restaurant and catering service. Right. Now we shall be moving to schedule 3. We shall be moving to schedule 3. So non-supplies. Schedule 3. Activities or transactions specified under schedule 3. Non-supply. That means even though 7(1)(a) conditions has been satisfied, that means it is a dealing in goods or services, and that too for consideration, that too during the course or furtherance of business. In such cases it shall be treated as supply, but whenever the activity is mentioned under schedule 3, then it shall not be treated as a supply. So there are list of some activities here. So in 7(2) also we have subsections, I think. Just coming to main section here. In 7 subsection 2, you see here statutory provision, section 7 subsection 2. Okay, in 7 subsection 2 you see here, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1. In subsection 1 it is being told that goods or service, consideration, business, even though not consideration, even though no business, it shall be treated as supply karke. We have read with schedule 1 all the subsections. Okay, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1, that means subsection 1 conditions has been satisfied here, but still it shall not be treated as supply. So activities or transactions specified in schedule 3, or such activities or transactions undertaken by central government or state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as a public authorities, as may be notified by the government on the recommendations of the council. So that means activities or transactions listed out in schedule 3, or it may be an activity by the central government or the state government which by notification has been released, shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor as supply of service. It is not a supply of good, not a supply of service, even though subsection 1 conditions has been satisfied, even though it comes under the scope of subsection 1. Consideration is there, business is there, it is of goods or services, and a form of supply is also there, but still it is not a supply. because of it may be of two reasons. One is it is listed out in schedule 3. Second one is it is notified by the central government or state government by note. It is notified by the central government by notification, and it is an activity made by the central government or state government. Activity made by central government or state government and notified that it shall not be regarded as supply. Okay, so we will see both of this. We will see schedule 3 and the same time we will see the notification, notified services as well. Okay, so in schedule 3 we will see. Yeah, so here para 1, schedule 3 para 1, 7 subsection 2 7 subsection 2. Okay, right. Activities or transactions which shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor as supply of service. So services by an employee to employer, services by an employee to employer during the course of employment. This is already seen there. What we have seen there in schedule 1, it is there. In schedule 1 para 2, what it is telling? If there is a transaction between related person, even though for no consideration, then it shall be treated as supply. Related person definition में employer employee is coming. That means if there is a transaction between employer and employee for no consideration, it shall be treated as supply. Here what is there? Transaction between employer and employee means it is not a supply, it is there. So that means what is the difference here? The difference is if the activity is within the scope of employment or not within the scope of employment. Scope of employment. So whether it is the obligation of the employee now during the course of employment, if it is the activity is an obligation of employee and he is charging salary or he is charging perquisite, then it is outside the ambit of GST. Other than salary, he is taking some consideration, and that too he is giving services to the employer which are not in the scope of employment, outside the ambit of employment. Yesterday we have taken an example, like he is acting an agent, procurement agent. He is procuring some goods and giving it to his employer in his individual capacity as an agent, as a procurement agent, not in the capacity of an employee, and in the scope of employment also it is not there. In such cases, see, there is a relationship between employer and employee, both are related persons. Whenever it is outside the ambit of employment, outside the scope of employment, even though for no consideration, it shall be, even for consideration also it is supply, for no consideration also it is supply. For consideration means it is a supply as per 7(1)(a) only. For no consideration means it is a supply as per schedule 1. If it is during the course of employment, it is not a supply at all, as per schedule 3 para 1. Got it? So whenever it is a case of gift, up to 50,000 rupees, it is not a supply. More than 50,000 rupees, then it will come under supply. Gift means it is no consideration. Gift means no consideration. So he is getting him. On that amount, he has to pay GST. Okay, right. So services provided by casual worker to the employer who gives wages on daily basis to the worker, or services provided by the worker in the course of employment. So during the course of employment, whatever he is providing, whatever he is taking, that shall not comes under the scope of GST, scope of supply. Right. Casual workers employed by a construction contractor for execution of a building contract, for him are the services in the course of employment. Similarly, casual workers employed by a security services agency for provision of security services to a client, or also service in the course of employment. Only services that are provided by the employee to the employer in the course of employment are outside the realm of supply. However, services provided outside the ambit of employment, for a consideration would be qualified as supply. Even for no consideration also, for consideration he is writing here, for no consideration also, that will come under supply. How? As per schedule 1. Schedule 1 para 2. Para 2 only, no, related person, distinct person. Schedule 1 para 2. Right. Services provided on contract basis by person to another person, on principal to principal basis, are not services provided in the course of employment. Okay. Any amount paid by employer to employee for not joining as a competing business. See, in non-compete business, we have taken an example. Non-compete fees, forbearance to act. Okay, so that is a there is a compensation from the employer to employee during the course of employment. It is not during the course of employment. After relieving from the employment, he has been offered with such amount. So that will be treated here. That will be treated as a supply there. So on that compensation amount, on that non-compete fees, GST will be attracted. On the salary, GST will not be attracted. First of all, it is not a supply. On non-compete fees, GST will be attracted. It is a supply. GST will be attracted. Right. Next, services by any court, tribunal established under any law for the time being in force. You know this courts may be, it may be district court, high court, supreme court, sessions courts, whatever it may be. And tribunal, you know, for each and every department, internal courts will be called as tribunals. And arbitral tribunals are also there, which will settle the out of the court settlement. Arbitral tribunal, there will be separate guidelines for it. Okay, arbitral tribunals. So services by any court or a tribunal, that will be treated again, that will be kept outside the ambit of GST. Next, functions performed by MPs, MLAs, member of parliament or member of state legislature, member of panchayats, member of municipalities and members of any other local authorities. Okay, so public people representatives are there, no? So if the people representatives are doing some services, those services are not considered as supply, not in the ambit of GST. Duties performed by any person who holds any post in pursuance of the provisions of constitution in that capacity, like President of India, like Governor of the state. So for those posts also, it is not a supply, right? So actually, why there is a need for mentioning of this here? Because those are not, they are not considered as employees. They are not considered as employees. Those are honorary posts. So that's why. So it is a constitution in the it is a in pursuance of the provisions of the constitution. So those people who has been appointed in such cases, President of India, Vice President of India, Prime Minister of India, Governors, Chief Justice of India, Speaker of Lok Sabha, Chief Election Commissioner, Controller and Auditor General (C&AG), Chairman of UPSC, Attorney General of India in that capacity. Okay, so as per the constitutional provisions, those has been appointed. So they are not generally called as employees, and hence if they are providing services, those will not be treated as a supply under GST. Next, duties performed by any person as a chairperson or a member or a director in a body established by central government, state government or a local authority, and who is not deemed as an employee before the commencement of this clause. They are not employees, but actually being appointed as a chairperson or a member or a director in the body established by central government or state government, in a central government department or central government bodies. Okay, so just like CBDT, CBIC. Okay, like this. Right. Next is services of funeral, burial, crematorium or mortuary, including transportation of the deceased. Okay, so funeral and allied activities and related activities, whatever it may be, transportation of the deceased person, transportation of the dead body. Okay, so whatever the service it may be, at the crematorium, if they are providing any such service, so this is completely outside the ambit of GST. Next, sale of land and subject to para 5b of schedule 2, sale of building, sale of land, sale of building, negative list, subject to para 5b of schedule 2. Just now only we read what is that. Construction service, where we are paying consideration in advance during the process of construction. So if you are paying even a single rupee during construction, then GST will be attracted, supply will come, GST will be attracted. If it is completely outside if the consideration is paid after the construction, complete construction, then it is a sale of building and it is negative list. Okay, right. So in case where the entire consideration for the sale of the building received after issuance of completion certificate or after its first occupation, whichever is later. Next, actionable claims. Regarding this we made a discussion. Actionable claims. So actionable claims comes under the definition of goods. We have seen that, right? Actionable claims, right? So with respect to actionable claims we have specified actionable claims. What are specified actionable claims? What are specified actionable claims? Specified actionable claims: lottery, betting, gambling, okay, online games, etc. are specified actionable claims, etc. are specified actionable claims. So with respect to specified actionable claims, okay, then only supply will be treated. Other than specified actionable claims, if any actionable claim is there, means then it is completely outside the scope of supply. Okay, so under negative list. So actionable claims are specifically included in the definition of goods under 252. However, this para of schedule 3 specifically excludes actionable claims other than specified actionable claims. That means specified actionable claims are under the scope of supply. Specified, that means if a person is dealing in lottery, selling lottery tickets, okay, doing online gaming business, okay, doing gambling, doing betting business, okay, so or through online games. Also in such cases, that will comes under the definition of supply. If it is other than that, just like promissory note, just like any debt which is enforceable debt, okay, so negotiable instruments, then it will not comes under the scope of supply. Whenever it is a case of specified actionable claims like lottery, betting, gambling and online gaming, then only it will comes under the scope of supply. Okay, right. So betting, casino, gambling, horse racing, lottery, online money gaming, that will be specified actionable claims. So whenever any person is dealing with the specified actionable claims, that will comes under the definition of supply. Other than specified actionable claims, if any actionable claim is there, means then it will not comes under the scope of supply. It will comes under the definition of goods, but under the scope of supply it will not come. Okay, right. Next, so we have studied 6 points, 6 paras. First para is with respect to employer-employee relationship. Second para is with respect to courts, tribunals. Correct? Third para is with respect to functions of MPs, MLAs, public representatives, and honorary posts or constitutional posts. Right. Next is with respect to fourth point, funeral, crematorium, burial. Okay. Fifth point is with respect to sale of land, sale of building. And the sixth point is with respect to actionable claims other than specified actionable claims. So these are the 6 points or 6 paras. Schedule 3 is applied. That means schedule 3 paras. Schedule 3 means negative list. So these are outside the ambit of GST. Okay, right. So along with this, under section 7 subsection 2 clause A, we have negative list. That means schedule 3. Section 7 subsection 2 clause B is there, where there are notified services made by central government or state government. When a central government or state government are giving services, and that to notified services, that means enlisted there as per section 7 2B. So with respect to those services, those are also outside the ambit of GST. With respect to that also we made a discussion already. So we'll see that points. See here, non-supplies notified wide notification. Non-supplies notified wide notification. So government is empowered to notify activities or transactions undertaken by central government, state government or local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities, as the activities or transactions which shall be treated neither as supply nor as supply of services. Where it is there? Where it is there in this way? Under section 7 subsection 2 clause B you see. Section 7 subsection 2 clause B you see, you will find these words. They are telling that if a government releasing a notification with respect to some services, and that too the services has been undertaken by the central government, state government or local authority as the public bodies. In such cases, if they are notified by the government, they will be treated neither as supply of goods nor as supply of service. That means that is completely outside the ambit of supply. Okay, so those are activity in relation to panchayat municipality functions. So in negative list, in the para 3, in para 3 we talked about activities of members of panchayat, members of municipality, members of parliament, members of legislature we talked. So here they are talking about the activities of panchayat, activities of municipality. It has been notified. So activities of municipality they are talking. So this is outside the ambit of GST, being notified service. Next, granting of liquor license. granting of liquor license. By taking some amount of consideration, liquor license will be given to operate a bar, to operate a belt shop, to operate a wine shop. Okay, liquor license will be given by the state government. Liquor license will be given by the state government upon payment of license fees. Okay, so on that license fees, GST will be attracted, or GST will not be attracted, because it is not a supply. It is not a supply. It is outside the scope. How it is kept outside the scope? By using the power given under section 7 subsection 2 clause B, where it is telling that if it is notified by central government, and that too the service is being provided by central government, state government, local authority as public entities or public bodies, in such cases those notified services will not come under the scope of supply. Likewise, using such power, they have made a notification or released a notification. In that notification, this is like, see, liquor license given by the state government upon receiving some consideration. On that consideration, GST will not be there, because it is not a supply, and hence GST will not come. Okay, so other than liquor license, any other license is there, means state government is giving license to a quarry, to a mine, giving a coal mine is there, to such coal mine they are giving license. So if they are giving mining licenses, means on such license GST will be attracted. So only license which has been described here or notified here is alcoholic liquor license. Other than liquor license, again it will be under 7(1)(a) only. Under 7(1)(a) only. Goods or service. License is a service. Service, right? License is a service, supply of service. Okay, for consideration during the course of furtherance of business, all are there. As per 7(1)(a) it is supply. As per 7(1)(a) it is supply. So this is only kept outside the ambit of supply. How they have kept? As per section 7 subsection 2 clause B, they are having a power to release a notification. In such notification, they can notify a list of service which shall be kept outside the ambit. So using such power, they have released this. Okay, so this is the notification, right? Next, non-supplies clarified by way of circular. This is by notification, which we have studied. This is by notification. 7(2)(b). This is by notification. Here, this is by circular. Right. CBIC has given a circular. We have many clarifications here. So how many clarifications will say? First one, interstate movement of various modes of conveyance. Next, interstate movement of rigs, tools, spares. Next, other clarifications are also shall be there. Just a minute. Rethreading of tires and all. Okay, we have this printing industry issue, food supplied to patients, bus bodybuilding, rethreading of trades. Okay, so we have many clarifications to discuss. And supply of food and beverages in malls. Okay, so now we are moving to clarifications part, which has been released by the government. Clarifications. Okay, CBIC clarifications. So see here, interstate movement of various modes of conveyance. Under GST, conveyance means vehicle. Conveyance means vehicle. So whether it may be any motor vehicle, or it may be or it may be aircraft, or it may be vessel. Okay, na? So it may be motor vehicle, or it may be aircraft, or it may be vessel. So movement of various modes of conveyance, interstate movements of various modes of conveyance. So here what they are telling is that, so whenever there is a movement of conveyance between distinct person, first of all, what is a distinct person? What is a distinct person? So two different business premises in different states of a entity having same PAN, So even in the same state also they are having different branches, means they are registered separately for each such branch, means those two branches are also distinct persons only, right? So movement of conveyance between distinct persons. That means a travels bus is there. So they are having operation in Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. They are having operation in Hyderabad. From Visakhapatnam to Hyderabad, there is a movement of conveyance. There is a movement of motor vehicle. So they are not talking about the service which they are giving on the motor vehicle. That is passenger transportation service is there. They are not talking about that. So with respect to passenger transportation service, that is a supply. That is a supply. So whether it is taxable or not, that is a different issue. First of all, that is a supply. Because it is a service for consideration during the course or furtherance of business, 7 1 year supply. Whether it will be treated as liable for GST or not, it is a different issue. It is a supply. Now we are talking about movement of the conveyance, movement of the motor vehicle. See, we are telling that with respect to distinct person, whatever you are transferring from one branch to another branch. This branch is having separate registration, branch 2 is having separate registration, then you are moving anything from one branch to another branch, that will be supply. That we are telling, because of the distinct person definition as per schedule 1 para 2, schedule 1 para 2, supply without consideration when the transfer is made between the distinct persons. Okay, now they are giving a clarification with respect to what if a vehicle is being transferred from one place to another. That means one distinct person to another distinct person. One establishment of a person to another establishment of the same person having same PAN. That will be treated as supply. Yeah, it is not a supply. So whenever you are transferring a train, whenever you are transferring a bus, whenever you are transferring a truck, tanker, trailer, vessel, container, aircraft, carrying goods or carrying passengers or both, whatever it may be, for the purpose of repairs also. For the purpose of repairs also. So we are running a traveler or else we are running a logistics business. So we are having 300 lorries or 200 lorries. Okay, we are having such huge number of lorries. But we will be having a separate yard where some mechanics will be there. A service center will be there. So whenever there is a repair, so used to carry such lorry to such repair center. This is also our place only in a different city or in a completely in a different state. For repairs, it has been shifted from there to here. So we are telling that within the distinct person, whatever we are transferring, that will comes under supply as per schedule 1 para 2. But here it is an exception. Whenever you are moving a conveyance between the distinct persons for the purpose of repair or for the purpose of carrying goods or carrying passengers. See, carrying goods or carrying passengers is a different thing. It is a different supply. So we are charging consideration from the passenger. Ticket we are charging the ticket amount. Okay, so that is a different supply. We are charging a charge from the customer who is having a courier service for goods. For the movement of goods, we are charging them. That is a different service. That is a supply of service. But when the movement is of the vehicle from one distinct person to another distinct, this movement will not be treated as supply. Again, repair service is there. For repair, this branch has billed the another branch. For repair, they billed the branch, like distinct person only. The branch one they have billed. For that bill also, it is a supply of service. It is a supply of service. In that also GST will come. But what if the movement of the vehicle, it will not be treated as supply. Got it? Right. So this is one thing. This is a clarification. Wide circular. Next, you see this. Interstate movement of rigs, tools, spares. Interstate movements of rigs, tools, spares, and all goods on wheels, like cranes. So movement of rigs, tools, spares, and all goods on wheels, like cranes. So this is also will not be treated as supply. Okay, so above circular shall mutatis mutandis apply to interstate movement of rigs, tools and spares and all the goods on wheels like cranes, except in cases where the movement of such goods is for further supply of such same goods. That means you are transferring the vehicles or you are transferring the cranes for further supply. Further supply means, let's say a car dealer is there. He is having a manufacturing unit in some place. From that place to this retail showroom is there in some other place. To such place he is transferring the cars in a container. Okay, so why he is transferring such cars? From that showroom he want to sell the cars. Then it is a stock transfer. That will not comes under this circular. If it is for further sale of the same conveyance, that means cars is there. Car will come under the definition of conveyance. But why the car is being moved from one place to another? for further sale. In order to sell the car to the customers in such location, so it has been transferred. If such movement is there, means this is a supply. If it is for the purpose of repair, if it is for the purpose of carrying goods or passengers, then it will not be treated as supply. Okay, so if it is a transfer or carrying of rigs, tools and spare parts, then also it is not a supply. Got this? Right, interstate movement. Next, see here, supply leviable to GST. That's what we are talking about. Supply leviable to GST. We'll give a break with this point only. You already know this. You already know this. See, supply leviable to GST means once it became a supply, I'm from the very beginning of the class, I'm telling that we cannot say that GST is there. We cannot say that GST is not there. Two other conditions needs to be checked. Two other conditions needs to be checked. So what are the two other conditions? Whether the supply is made by a taxable person or not. Supply is made by a taxable person or not. See, let's say I am doing practice. Okay, my turnover is 12 lakhs per annum. 12 lakhs per annum. So I have a profession. I am doing service. I am doing it for consideration. All the conditions given under 7(1)(a) has been satisfied. But I am not a taxable person. Why I am not a taxable person? My turnover not crossed the threshold limit. That's why I no need to get registered. That's why I am not a taxable person. See, all the conditions under 7(1)(a) is being satisfied. That's why the activity is being supplied. Now GST will be attracted on my service. If I am giving an audit service to some client, for that 1 lakh is the fees. On that fee amount, 18% GST, 18,000 rupees has to be applied or not is the question now. Okay, in such cases, you cannot charge that 18,000 rupees GST. Why you cannot charge? You are not a taxable person. See, my service of 1 lakh rupees will not attract GST. Why it is not attracting? It is not made by a taxable person. I am not a taxable person because my turnover not crossed. Likewise, if it is made by a taxable person, then only GST will be attracted at the same time. If I am doing a service of a lawyer, let's say I am an advocate, I am giving a legal service to an individual. I am giving a legal service which is completely exempted. So I am doing a service, and that too for consideration in the course or furtherance of business. Hence it is a supply. My turnover crossed 50 lakhs. Hence I am a taxable person. Along with this legal service, I am giving another service. Okay, renting of a commercial property. I am having a huge building. I am giving it on rent. I am getting a 40 lakhs rent. That is also forms part of my turnover. So that means I am a taxable person. But I am giving exempted service. It is an exempted supply, and hence GST will not come. See, in order to levy GST after becoming supply, two conditions needs to be checked. Whether it is made by a taxable person, right? Whether they are giving a taxable supply, whether they are making a taxable supply. If it is an exempted supply, GST will not come. If it is made by a non-taxable person, then also GST will not come. So if these two conditions are satisfied, then only GST will be levied. You got this? Correct. Okay, so after becoming supply, GST shall be levied only upon satisfying two conditions: when it is made by a taxable person, when it is a taxable supply. Correct? Right. We'll stop here. We'll pause for break. We have covered all the schedules, right? See, under section 7, under section 7, under section 7, 7(1), 7(1)(a), 7(2), 7(3) is there. 7(3) is also there. That is just a nominal section, not much informative. 7(3) is also there. Okay. In 7(1), 4 clauses: A, AA, B, C. Okay. For 7(1)(b), there is schedule 1. No. For 7.1b, there is no schedule. For 7.1c, we have a schedule. We have schedule 1. Okay. 7.1a, we have schedule 2. For 7.2, we have two clauses, clause A, clause B. For clause A, we have schedule 3. Correct? Schedule 3. 7.2b, we have notified services. Notified services which are not supplies. Not supply. Okay, na? Right. So 7.1a, you know what is that? Supply includes all forms of supply, sale, transfer, barter, exchange, etc. for consideration in the course or furtherance of business. 7.1a, members to other than individuals to its members. Okay, for consideration, it is a supply. Next, 7.1b, importation of services for consideration, whether in the course or furtherance of business or not. Importation of services, business is relaxed here. Okay, next is 7.1c, activities without consideration but still considered as supply. There are 4 paras, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 paras are there. In para 1, what is there? Permanent transfer or disposal of business assets on which input tax credit has been taken. Second one, transfer of goods between supply between related person even without consideration, supply between distinct person even without consideration, still it is a supply. Next 3, from principal to transfer of goods from principal to agent to principal. Okay, now that will be considered a supply provided agent is having the power to issue the invoice, right to issue the invoice on his own name, or right to receive the invoice on his own name, then it is a supply. Okay, next para 4, importation of services without consideration but during or the course or furtherance of business from a related person outside India or from a own establishment outside India. Okay, these are the 4 clauses. Next, schedule 2. In schedule 2, first one, transfer of goods. Okay, transfer of title in goods, that means it is supply of goods. Transfer of right in goods, then it is supply of service. Antena, transfer of title in goods, transfer of possession, but title will be transferred later. That means title will be given later upon the payment of last installment. Then supply of goods only. Okay, first one. Next one, second point. First point is with respect to transfer of goods. Second point is with respect to transfer of schedule 2. Schedule 2, point number 2, para number 2. Okay, just a minute, we'll see. No, that's not. See here, this is transfer of goods, title in goods, one thing. Okay, now next, right in goods, second one. Next, land and building. With respect to land and building, so lease, easement, license, tenancy, whatever it may be with respect to land and building, that is supply of service. Okay, next, third point, treatment or process on another person's goods, it is a supply of service. Next, transfer of business assets. If it is a permanent transfer, supply of goods. If it is a temporary transfer, supply of service. Okay, next, fifth point is with respect to building. Correct? Renting of immovable property. Renting of immovable property, if it is a commercial complex, then it is a supply of service. Okay, at the same time, 5b, para 5, clause B is telling that construction of a complex or building or civil structure, whatever it may be, but consideration is paid. Consideration is paid entirely after construction, after completion certificate, then it is outside the scope of supply. If it is paid during the construction, even 1 rupee, then it is a supply of service. Okay, this is 5b. Next, 5c, temporary transfer permitting the user of intellectual property rights, patents, copyrights, supply of service. Development design of a software, supply of service. Agreeing to obligation or refrain from an act or to tolerate an act, supply of service, that is non-compete fees, like that. Okay, next we have seen this transfer of right to use any goods for any purpose, whether or not for specified purpose, for cash or payment or Other valuable consideration. It is nothing but right to use of goods. That is also supply of service. Now lastly, sixth one, which is composite supply, wherein we have discussed regarding works contract, where goods are involved, service is also involved with respect to an immovable property. It may be construction, renovation, fabrication, commissioning, installation, whatever it may be with respect to immovable property. Then it is a works contract service. It is a supply of service. At the same time, restaurant and catering services, where the food and beverages are being supplied, okay, along with the service, then it will be treated as supply of service. So this is all about schedule 2 activities, so which are declared as supply of goods or supply of services. These activities need not be judged as a supply, because it is already supply, then it is a supply of goods or supply of services, it has to be seen. Now schedule 3, we have 6 different activities, correct? 6 different activities. In the activities, it is treated as neither a supply nor supply of service, supply of goods nor supply of service. Schedule 3. In that, the first activity is employer-employee relationship. Whenever there is an within the scope, if the employee is acting within the scope of the employment, then it is a salary consideration. Okay, it will not comes under the scope of supply. When the employee is acting beyond the scope of employment, then it will comes under the definition of supply. Even without consideration also, it will comes under the definition of supply as per schedule 1. Para 2. Schedule 1, para 2. Correct? Next point, services of a tribunal court. Okay. Next point, MPs, MLAs, people representatives. Okay. Next, fourth point, services of crematorium, funeral, burial. Okay, including the transportation of deceased. Next, fifth point, sale of land, sale of building, negative list. Sale of building, but exception is there under 5, para 5, clause B of schedule 2. Exception is there. What is that exception? During construction, if you are paying any consideration, whatever it may, part consideration you are paying, then it will again be a supply of service. Next, actionable claims. Whenever it is a case of specified actionable claims, comes under the scope of supply. If it is other than specified actionable claims, it does not comes under the scope of supply. What is a specified actionable claim? Gambling, betting, casino, horse racing, lottery, and online money gaming. All this comes under specified actionable claims. So this is with respect to schedule 3, section 7, subsection 2, clause A, schedule 3, read with schedule 3. So 6 activities are there. So now comes section 7, subsection 2, clause B, where notified services has been given, and that too services has been made by as a supplier. Who will be the supplier? Government, central government or state government or local body will be the supplier. Correct? Right. So in such cases, panchayati, municipality and functions will be treated as not a supply. At the same time, alcoholic liquor license given by the state governments will not be treated as supply. Other licenses will be treated as supply. Okay. Now we have a clarification with respect to interstate movement of conveyance. Conveyance matlab vehicles. Vehicles, it may be aircraft, it may be vessel, or it may be any other vehicle, road transport vehicle. Okay, so if the vehicles has been transported between the distinct persons, that will not be treated as supply. Okay, now, so for the purpose of carriage of goods, or for the purpose of carriage of passengers, or for the purpose of repairs, so the movement will not be treated as supply. Okay, now if it is for further sale, if the movement of conveyance is for further sale, then it will be treated as supply. Okay, at the same time, rigs, molds, tools, spares, these are also transferred between distinct persons, then also it will not be treated as supply. Got this? Right. Now comes supply leviable to GST means 2 conditions must be satisfied. After becoming supply, we should check whether it is made by the taxable person or not, and the supply is a taxable supply or not. Whether it is taxable or exempted, we have to check. Then only GST will be arrived. GST will be levied. So all this is about section 7 of CGST Act, where we are talking about the definition of supply. Definition of supply. 3 subsections are there. In subsection 1, 4 clauses are there. In subsection subsection 1A is there. Actually 4 subsections. 7.1, 1A, 2, 3. Okay, 1A. In 1A, schedule 2 is there. 3 schedules are there. Schedule 1, 2, 3. Okay, you got an idea with the overall understanding of section 7. Now comes section 8. Where we talk about composite and mixed supplies. Here also we no need to decide whether it is a supply or not. It is already a supply. Okay, so composite and mixed supplies means, see, whenever we are combining the supplies, let's say we are placing an order online. That means, so sell us, he will sell us the product, sale of goods are involved. At the same time, they will deliver the goods. Delivery is also there. This is supply of service. This is supply of goods. So that means two supplies are involved here. So this will be treated as composite supplier or mixed supplier. Why there is a need for this discussion? Let's say the goods are taxed at 5%. Delivery is a service. Services are taxed at 18%. Which rate has to be taken? 1000 rupees worth goods, 200 worth rupees delivery, totally 1200 rupees. Which rate has to be applied on this 1200 rupees? 5% rate or 18% rate? Which rate has to be applied? So hence the discussion composite supply and mixed supply will come. So there are lot many cases where we will supply together, like it may be supply of goods plus goods, it may be supply of goods plus service, it may be supply of service plus service. Okay, there are lot many cases, and that too generally it is necessary for such business to supply combinedly. See, whenever you are going for an online order, delivery is must. Without delivery, we will not take, no. We will not place order. Delivery is must. That means it is naturally bundled. Sometimes they are mixed. When you go to online, see, they will put an offer, combo offer for wallet plus belt, pen plus a tie, likewise they will put a combo offer. It need not be mixed. Without pen, tie cannot be served. Without tie, pen cannot be served. Without wallet, belt cannot be served. It can be, but for as an offer they are giving. It is combo offer. In order to promote their business, they are giving. It is not naturally bundled. See, if you travel on a train, they may offer you a lunch. If you travel on a flight, they may offer you a breakfast. Likewise, it is naturally bundled. If you stay in a hotel, they will offer you a breakfast. Okay, so it is naturally bundled. See, if you purchase AC, installation may be given. At the same time, warranty of the AC may be given. If you purchase a camera, warranty may be given. Likewise, it is combined. There are two goods. There may be two goods. There may be goods plus service. There may be service plus service. If you are purchasing a car, insurance may be given free. Maintenance may be given free for first 2 years or first 1 year. Services will be given free for first 1 year. So likewise, there may be some offer in order to promote the sales. See, there are two different rates here. So you are going for service plus service offer or goods plus service offer. Goods are taxed at 18%, service is taxed at 12%, or vice versa. Which rate is to be applied? Then you need to understand whether it is a composite supply, which is necessary, or it is a mixed supply, which is combined. Okay, voluntarily, right? So in such cases, we need to understand whether a supply is a taxable or mixed supply or composite supply. So if it is a composite supply, we shall take the rate of the main supply. Online order is there, no? You are placing online order. Goods is the main supply. Ancillary supply and supporting supply is delivery. So that's why which rate has to be applied? Main supply rate has to be applied. Whenever it is a case of wallet and a belt, belt is taxed at 12%, wallet is taxed at 18%. Okay, this is a mixed case of mixed supply. Mixed supply means it is not naturally bundled. It is by their wish they got combined it. In such cases, which has to be taken? Highest rate has to be taken. So this is what the concept of composite supply and mixed supply. See here what is the statutory provision which is given under section 8. So tax liability on composite and mixed supplies. So particulars, the tax liability on the composite or mixed supply shall be determined in the following manner, namely composite supply comprising two or more supplies, one of which is a principal supply. one of which is a principal supply, shall be treated as a supply of such principal supply. Example, what is the example? Online order, goods plus delivery of goods. Okay, goods is a principal supply, delivery is a ancillary supply. Which rate has to be taken? Goods rate has to be taken. AC plus installation. AC plus installation. Which is the main supply? AC is the main supply or principal supply. Installation is a supporting supply. Okay, which rate has to be taken? AC rate has to be taken. Okay, so this is a composite supply comprising two or more supplies, one which is a principal supply and shall be treated as a supply of such principal supply. So how to identify whether it is a composite supply or a mixed supply? Okay, so that we will discuss little later after mixed supply. A mixed supply comprises of two or more supplies shall be treated as supply of that particular supply that attracts the highest rate of tax. So only for the sake of taking the rate, it is given here. For composite supply, it is principal supply rate, main supply rate. For mixed supply, it is highest rate. Okay, right. So mixed supply, what is the example? Welt plus wallet. Okay, right. See, composite supply. Composite supply means supply made by a taxable person to a recipient and comprise two or more taxable supplies. Two or more taxable supplies of goods or services or both or any combination thereof. There may be goods plus goods, goods plus service or service plus service. Okay, which are naturally bundled. Naturally bundled means generally in the same trade parlance or in the same business, any player in the industry will do in the same way. Any player in the industry will do in the same way. We will not accept TV with remote without remote. We will not accept TV without a stabilizer. Likewise, we will not accept a phone without a charger. Charger can be sold separately, phone can be sold separately, but in a general trade parlance, we will expect charger to be given with the phone. Correct? So that is what is called naturally bundled. If that is the case, naturally bundled and supplied in conjunction with each other. Supplied in conjunction with each other in the ordinary course of business, one of which is a principal supply. One shall be a main supply, principal supply. Okay, now then it will be treated as a composite supply. Okay, if it is a composite supply, which rate will be applicable? Principal supply rate will be applicable. This means a composite supply, goods or services or both are bundled owing to the natural necessities. The elements in the composite supply are dependent on the principal supply. Whenever you are going on flight, they will be given a breakfast. There will be given a breakfast. At the same time, when you are staying in hotel, there will be a breakfast. So one is staying, accommodation service is a main supply. Breakfast is an ancillary supply. Okay, right. So principal supply means supply of goods or services which constitutes the predominant element of composite supply and to which any other supply forming part of that composite supply is ancillary. Predominant supply, principal supply or main supply, and any other supply which is dependent on the main supply is ancillary supply. Okay. So here to determine whether the services are bundled in ordinary course of business, how to determine whether the services are bundled in the ordinary course or not. So whether the services are bundled in the ordinary course of business or not would depend on the normal or frequent practices followed in the area of business to which service relate. Such normal and frequent practices adopted in a business can be ascertained from several indicators, some of which are listed here. So one is perception of the consumer, that is what is called expectation of the service recipient. If large number of service recipients of such bundle of service reasonably expect such service to be provided as a package, then such a package could be treated as naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business. A train, if we onboard a train, we will expect at least a water bottle to be served to us. If you are traveling on AC coach, okay, we are paying on thousands of rupees, so we will at least expect a coffee or tea or a water bottle. Okay, expectation of the service recipient is a part here. Okay, next, like mobile phone is always sold with a battery. Next, majority of the service providers in a particular area of the business provide similar bundle of services. Okay, bundle of services of catering on board and services of transport by air is a bundle offered by majority of air airlines. Next, the nature of various services in a bundle of service will also help in determining whether the services are bundled in ordinary course of business or not. Okay, if the nature of service is such that one of the services is the main service and other services combined with such service are in the nature of incidental or ancillary service, which helps in better enjoyment of the service, then it would be treated as services bundled in the ordinary course of business. So whatever the services or whatever the goods combinedly offered, there shall be a meaning to it. Okay, whenever you are there, so they should match the product of the main supply, right? So service of the stay in a hotel is often combined with the provision of breakfast and dinner, like this. Other illustrative indicators are there is a single price or the customer pays the same amount no matter how much the package they actually receive or not. For all the products there is a single price. Other indicator, there is not a separate charge for each and every item separately. Next, elements are normally advertised as a package, as a whole has been advertised, and different elements are not available separately. Okay, and the different elements are integral to one overall supply. If one or more is removed, the nature of the supply would be affected. Okay, so if this is the case, we can determine this as a composite supply. If it is a composite supply, main supply rate would be taken. Okay, right. So in order to determine whether it is a mixed supply or not, first we need to ascertain whether it is a composite supply or not. That means we need to rule out the composite supply. Okay, so if it is a case of if it comes under composite supply or not karke, we need to assess first. If it is not a case of composite supply, then it would be a mixed supply. Okay, right. See here, mixed supply. Mixed supply means two or more individual supplies of goods or services or any combination thereof made in conjunction with each other by a taxable person for a single price. Where such supply does not constitute a composite supply. First of all, if it is not a composite supply, then it will comes under mixed supply, and that too it is supplied in a combined manner but for a single price. They are giving the service and they are giving goods. Separately they are charging, they are marking the price of each product, price of each service, they are marking separately. Then they can charge different rate. If you go to D-Mart, so grocery store, whatever you want you pick up, you will go to the billing. So if you observe the bill, on each and every item there will be a separate GST. Whatever the rate applicable on such product, that rate only will be given. Why it will not be treated as mixed supply? Because it is identified separately, it is mentioned separately in the invoice. Rate of each product has been mentioned separately in the invoice. Whenever it is offered as a combo pack, and there is a single price to the pack, for the entire package there is a single price, and that too it is not a composite supply. It is not necessary that toothpaste should be mixed with toothbrush, but as a combo offer, Colgate or some other close-up will be giving. Okay, you can find a brush in the toothpaste box, right? So it can be treated as a mixed supply. So, and one single price, if at all one single price is charged for such supply, then only it will be treated as mixed supply, and it is not a composite supply, right? Okay, so how to determine if a particular supply is a mixed supply? The first rule is to rule out composite supply. First point, a supply can be mixed supply only if it is not a composite supply. As a corollary, it can be said that if the transaction consists of supplies not naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business, then the possibility of being a mixed supply needs to be checked. Okay, so if it is not a composite supply, then only mixed supply has to be checked. Once the amenability of the transaction as a composite supply is ruled out and a single consideration is charged, it must be consideration is single price shall be charged for the entire supply. That means each and every service or each and every good should not be charged separately. Okay, as a whole it shall be charged. Entire supply of different components, it would be treated as mixed supply, classified in terms of supply of goods or services attracting highest rate of tax. Okay, a supply of package consisting of canned foods, sweets, chocolates, cakes, dry fruits, aerated drink and fruit juices. These are not naturally combined as a package, they made it as a package. So when supplied for a single price, and the price is not quoted separately for each and every item, single price is a mixed supply. So each of these items can be supplied separately and is not dependent on any other. It shall not be a mixed supply if these items are supplied separately or separate prices are charged. Okay. So other examples are also given here. So this is what is called the concept of composite supply and mixed supply. Okay, right. Simply in order to revise, composite supply means two or more supplies combined together. One is a principal supply, another one is ancillary supply, and there is a single price charged to the product, and it is naturally bundled. And in a general trade parlance, the service recipient or the recipient of the goods will expect in the same manner. In such cases, it will be treated as a composite supply. Otherwise, it will be treated as a mixed supply if a separate single price has been charged. If a separate price for each and every product is charged, then it is a case of mixed supply. If it is a case of composite supply, highest rate, principal supply rate will be applied. If it is a case of mixed supply, what will be applied? Highest rate. Okay, in such bundle will be applied. Right. Now we will move on to some clarifications. Here. So this by the CBIC clarified issues circulars. See, actually during the recent attempts, many questions are being asked on the clarifications. So whenever, see, yesterday we have seen this delegatory agent. Today we have seen this transfer of or interstate movement of what we conveyance. Okay, likewise there will be some clarifications which are being discussed in the class. So those clarifications, there may be cases where questions may be directly asked from the clarification. Okay, right. Next, printing industry issues. So printing industry issues means see, whenever it is a case of service plus goods, mix of service plus goods, correct? Printing goods shall be there, service shall be there. See, we need to we need to observe the content. Content is more important here. See, a brochure is there, a real estate brochure is there. So for brochure to be ready, whose part is main here? Real estate designing part is main. The content is main here. So if we give the design, a soft copy, they will give a print. They will give a print of it. So it will be treated as supply of goods or supply of service. It will be treated as supply of, what is more important here? What is more important here? Content is more important here. And hence in that cases, it is a supply of service. It is a supply of service. So whenever there is a case of, we wanted to distribute pens to 1,000 students. On that pen, we want a logo of the institute. We want a logo of the institute. Here what is important? Material is important. Pen is important. Okay, then it is a supply of goods. So whenever it is a form plate or whenever the content is less important, okay, whenever the material is important, so we just wanted to distribute the notebooks which will be given by them only, but we want a logo to be printed on the notebook. We will pay the price for that. So that is a supply of good. Whenever we want a brochure, we are giving the content. Okay, whenever we want our classroom material, we are giving the content, then they are printing it and giving it. Then it is a case of supply of service. Okay, so in the printing press industry, the printing industry in India is particularly faced a dilemma in determining whether the nature of supply provided was that of goods or services. It is a supply of good or supply of service. Okay, another doubt was that whether in case where certain contracts involved both supply of goods or services, whether the same would be constitute a supply of goods or supply of services, or if it would be a composite supply, and in case it is, then what would constitute the principal supply. Okay, so in order to clarify that, thus it is clarified that supply of books, form plates, brochures, envelopes, annual reports, leaflets, carton boxes, etc., printed with logo, design, name, address, or other contents supplied by the recipient of such printed goods, or composite supplies. So we are giving the content, they are printing and giving. Okay, right. So sometimes we are just giving the logo on a big carton box, they are just printing the logo and giving. Okay, like in such cases, the question whether such supplies constitute supply of goods or supply of services would be determined on the basis of what constitutes a principal supply. In case of printing of books, pamphlets, brochures, and annual reports and the like, the only content is supplied by the publisher. Only content is supplied by the publisher or the person who owns the usage rights to intangible inputs, while the physical inputs including paper used for printing belonging to the printer. Supply of printing printing is the principal supply, and therefore such supply would constitute supply of service with respect to books, pamphlets, brochures, etc. Or the like. So it would be a supply of service. So in case of supply of printed envelopes, letter cards, printed boxes, tissues, napkins, wallpaper, etc. by printer by using its physical inputs including paper to print, design, logo, etc. supplied by the recipient. So in brochure books, the content is more important. That is given by the recipient. That's why it is just a supply of service. So here the matter is important, that material is important. Okay, that is supplied by the printer. Okay, that's why it is supply of goods. Okay, so and the supply of printing of the content supplied by the recipient of the supply is ancillary to the principal supply of goods, and therefore such supply would constitute supply of goods. Okay, so here with respect to envelopes, letter cards, print boxes, tissues, napkins, wallpapers, the material is most important, hence supply of goods. The main supply is supply of goods. Okay, that is the principal supply, and printing is ancillary, right? In the first case, with respect to books, pamphlets, content is more important, and hence printing is the supply of service. Okay, right. Next, food supplied to the patients. Food supplied to patients. So food, see, in a hospital, when a food is provided to patients, others means attendants. Okay, whenever it is provided to patients on the prescription of nutritionist. Okay, this is an ancillary supply to the main treatment. Ancillary supply to the main treatment or care. So whenever it is provided to the attendant, it is not an ancillary supply, it is a separate supply. So whenever it is provided to patients, it should be mixed with water. It should be seen with water, main supply of treatment. Okay, so food supply to inpatients as advised by the doctors or nutritionist is a part of composite supply of health care and not separately taxable. Other supplies of food by a hospital to patients not admitted, that means their attendants or visitors, are taxable. It is a separate supply and it is taxable. So whenever it is supplied to patients, it is along with health care, along with the treatment. Since treatment is exempted, so this ancillary supply is also exempted. Correct? Since treatment is exempted, health care service, exemptions we will see it, but treatment is exempted. Treatment by a clinical establishment is exempted. Since it is exempted, ancillary supply to is also exempted. Main supply is exempted means ancillary supply is exempted. So here whenever it is provided to attendants, there is no main supply here. The main supply is only providing food only, then it is taxable. Okay, next, activities of bus bodybuilding. Bus bodybuilding. In case of bus bodybuilding, there is a supply of goods and services, both. Okay, supply of goods, services. Okay, right. Because parts will be involved, spare parts will be involved, goods will be involved, at the same time service will be involved. Okay, skilled service will be involved. Okay, next, classification of this composite supply as goods or service would depend on which supply is a principal supply, which may be determined on the basis of facts and circumstances of each case. So how much bus bodybuilding you are doing, how much you are doing, so what is the dominant part there, whether it is goods or whether it is service. Based on that, we need to what we call determine on case to case basis, right? This is with respect to bus bodybuilding. Next, another classification with respect to rethreading of tires. Rethreading of tires, you know, no? So when the tires are used, so the tire generally become flat. So all the threads on the what we call surface will be will be smoothened. So in such cases, rethreading will be made at the repair shops. So whenever the tires are taken and a new layer of thread has been attached to the old tires, then it is a supply of service. New thread attached to the old tire, just rethreading. Rethreading of the old tires is a supply of service. Whenever it is a case of taken the old tire and replace it with a new tire, then it is a supply of good. Supply of good in exchange. Exchange is also a supply, no? Okay, supply of goods in exchange. See, in rethreading of tires, which is a composite supply, the predominant element in the process of rethreading, which is supply of service. Rubber used for rethreading is ancillary supply. Rubber is used, additional extra rubber will be used. That is good. But the main purpose is, main service is rethreading. And hence it is a composite supply. The principal supply is supply of service. Okay. And next, supply of rethreaded tires, where the old tires belong to the supplier of the rethreaded tires, is a supply of goods. Okay. So this is with respect to rethreading of goods. Next, supply of food and beverage at cinema halls, taxable as a restaurant service. Okay. See, whenever the cinema hall is charging a ticket, so in the ticket there is a what we call offer for snacks. Combinedly they are taking, like ticket charge is 100 rupees, 300 rupees. So along with this 200 rupees snacks. Okay, some popcorn and a cool drink will be served at the time of like show. Okay, so likewise, if they charged a single consolidated price for both providing food and like beverages there in the cinema hall, so a single price is charged means then it is a composite supply. So it shall be charged as a, for what rate of GST is applied on the cinema ticket, that rate will be applied on the food and beverages. So when it is charged separately, and movie ticket is charged separately, and the beverages and refreshment cost is separate, in such cases it is not a composite supply. Two separate rates will be charged. Okay, so this is what the clarification given here. See here, supply of food and beverages at the cinema halls, taxable as restaurant service. See here, eating joint is a wide term, which includes refreshment or eating kiosks. Kiosks means counters or restaurant at a cinema also. So the cinema operator may run these refreshment eating stalls, kiosks, counters, restaurants themselves, or they may give it on contract to a third party, or may give it as a contract to a third party. That means the cinema hall is running a restaurant, or this restaurant is given to a third party. Okay. So the customer may like to avail the services supplied by these refreshments, okay, or snack counters, or choose not to avail these services. Further, the cinema operator can also install vending machines or supply any other recreational services such as throwing a coin, operated machines, etc., which a customer may or may not avail. So that is at the option of the customer. Right. It is hereby clarified that supply of the food beverage in cinema hall is taxable as a restaurant service as long as the food or beverage supplied by way of or as a part of the service and supplied independently of the cinema exhibition service. Okay, whenever it is not charged along with the ticket of the movie, then it will be treated as a separate service, and just like a restaurant service it will be treated. Okay, right. So where the sale of the cinema ticket and the supply of the food and beverages are clubbed together, sale of the cinema tickets and sale of the food and beverages are clubbed together, and such bundled supply satisfies the test of composite supply. In such cases, the entire supply will attract GST at the rate applicable to cinema ticket. Okay, rate applicable to the service of exhibition of cinema at the principal supply. Got it? Okay, so this is all about composite supply and mixed supply. Simply speaking, for composite supply, which rate will be applicable? The principal supply's rate will be applicable. Okay, for mixed supply, which rate will be applicable? Highest rate will be applicable. Okay, so with respect to composite supply, how to determine whether it is a composite supply or not? First, we need to check whether it is naturally bundled or not. In a general trade parlance, how it is given, how it is delivered, how it is expected by the service recipient or goods recipient of goods. Okay, how it is accepted. So if all these conditions are met and it is given at a single price, and one is a main supply and the other supply is an ancillary supply. So if without the main supply, the ancillary supply cannot be given. In such cases, it will be treated as composite supply. Otherwise, it will be treated as a mixed supply. In order to determine whether it is a mixed supply or not, so first of all, we need to rule out it is a composite supply or not. So first of all, we need to check whether it is a composite supply. If not, it may be a mixed supply. For a mixed supply, it shall be charged for one price. Whenever it is charged separately, items are mentioned separately in the invoice and charged separately, separate rate can be applicable. Whenever it is charged for a single price, highest rate in the bunch or a mix can be applied. Okay, now, so this is what is mixed supply. There are clarifications with respect to this. So in that, the first clarification is with respect to printing industry, where the booklets, pamphlets or brochures, books are given. In such cases, supply of service. Whenever there is an envelope, print cards and napkins, likewise anything is there where the material is most important. In such cases, supply of goods. With respect to food supply to the patients, whenever it is supplied to patients on the prescription of the doctor or nutritionist, then it is a supply, ancillary supply, composite supply to the main supply, healthcare supply. Hence it is exempted. Whenever it is supplied to attendants of the patients, it is taxable. Why it is taxable? The main supply is providing food only. That is the main supply, and hence it is taxable. Next, activities of bus bodybuilding, it has to be seen on case to case basis, where the amount of goods are involved and services involved. So which is used predominantly, which is given predominantly, based on that it will be bus bodybuilding activity will be treated as supply of goods or supply of service. Next, rethreading of tires. With respect to rethreading of tires, when the rethreading activity has been made on the old tires, then it is supply of service. When the old tires are replaced with a new tire, then it is a case of supply of goods. Next, food and beverage provided at cinema halls. When it is provided separately, and the option is given to the what we call customer. Option is given to the customer, the person who is going to cinema. So in such cases, it is a supply of food and beverage. It will be treated as separately, that is restaurant service. Okay, at the same time, if the ticket is in the ticket price only it is included, means then it is a composite supply. That is exhibition of movie will be the main supply or the principal supply. The same rate will be applicable. So this is all regarding composite and mixed supply. Have a look at it. Other examples are also there. Go through it. So with this we have completed this section 7 and 8. So we have completed the chapter. With respect to provisions, we need to solve the questions. Just have a look at it for 5 minutes. We will move on to the questions part. Simply we have two sections in this chapter. Section 7 and 8. 7 is for supply. 8 is for composite and mixed supply. That's all. In section 7, 3 schedules are there. Schedule 1 is for supply without consideration. 2 is for supply of classification of supply of goods or supply of services, just for classification. 3 is for negative list. not a supply, not a supply, negative list. 3 schedules are there. 7 subsection 3 is there. What is there in 7 subsection 3? You just see. 7 subsection 3. See, 7 subsection 3 actually gives the power to the government. Gives the power to the government. Say if they wanted to treat it as supply of goods, not as supply of particular activity is there. Right now it is being treated as supply of service. Now the government want to interfere and change it to supply of goods. They can change. Vice versa. Now it is treated as supply of goods, but the government can intervene and change it to supply of service. That it can do. So that is the power given by the government, given to the government through 7 subsection 3. So 7 subsection 3 you can see. See here, subject to the provisions of subsection 1, subsection 1a, subsection 2, government may on the recommendations of the council specify by notification the transaction that are to be treated as supply of goods and not as supply of services, not as supply of goods. Okay, so subject to provisions of 1, subsection 1, subsection 1a, subsection 2, government by notification notify. That means government is having power to intervene and tell, so supply of goods gadu, that will be treated as supply of service or vice versa. Clarifications are very much important, not just the sections. Just have a glance of all the sections which we have discussed so far. If you revise the chapter today after going home, it will be more easy for you. You can finish off the chapter and set it aside. First chapter you remember? First chapter. Just tell me the side headings, concepts, name of the concepts. First chapter, just give me the list of concepts discussed in the class. We started with tax. Genesis of GST. Started with tax. What is tax? Why taxes? Types of taxes. Okay. Taxes before GST. Taxes after the introduction of GST. Power, authority. Okay. Okay. Genesis of GST. Genesis of GST, that is which is nothing but timeline from 2000 to 2017. Next. That is what is dual GST. Dual GST, yeah. Federal tax structure, dual GST. Set off of GST. That is credit of input tax credit, manner of utilization of credit, we can say. Goods not under the purview of GST. Okay. That is non-taxable supply. Non-taxable supply. గుర్తు రావట్లేదా? జస్ట్ 2 days అవుతుంది. బెనిఫిట్స్ ఆఫ్ జిఎస్టీ. యూనిఫైడ్ నేషనల్ మార్కెట్, బూస్ట్ టు ద మేక్ ఇన్ ఇండియా ఇనిషియేటివ్ అన్నాం. నెక్స్ట్ in framework of GST we have discussed many points. GST common portal, GST suvidha providers, application providers, GSP ASP. Next, constitutional provisions, sir. In that, what are the main articles? Article 265, 246, 246A, 269A, 279A, 366 12A, some constitutional provisions we have taken, right? Okay, shall we start with the question, sir? Just to remember the structure. Section 71A, 71A, where we talk about goods or services consideration, business. 71AA, other than individual to members for consideration. 71, anything other than companies. Next, 71B, importation of services for consideration, business or not. 71C, activities without consideration but treated as supply, schedule 1. In schedule 1, 4 paras are there. One is permanent transfer of business assets on which ITC taken. 2 is transaction between related person, distinct person. 3 is transfer of goods from principal to agent, agent to principal, where agent is having right to issue the invoice on his own name. Okay. 4, para 4, importation of services, whether or not in the course or furtherance of business, in the course or furtherance of business from a related person outside India or from an establishment outside India, own establishment outside India. This is schedule 1. 71B over, 71C over, 71A, 71A, supply, declared supply, schedule 2. In that we have talked almost 6 points. Transfer of title in goods, transfer of right in goods, land and building. With respect to land and building, easement, lease, tenancy, rent, likewise. Third, treatment or process on other person's goods. Fourth point, what is that? Fifth point, renting of immovable property, construction service, software service. Fifth point. Sixth point, works contract service, restaurant and catering service. 6th B. What is fourth one? Transfer of business assets. Permanent transfer means supply of goods. Temporary transfer means supply of service. Okay, this is the thing. Right, next 7 subsection 2, where we talk about schedule 3 negative list. In that, how many clauses, how many paras? 6 paras are there. First para, employer employee. Second para, court to tribunals. Third para, members of the parliament, members of state legislative assembly, etc. President, chairman of UPSC, vice president, likewise, governor, likewise. Fourth point, funeral, burial and crematorium. Fifth point, land buildings, sale of land buildings, except construction service, given under schedule 2, para 5, clause B. Next, sixth, actionable claims other than specified actionable claims. Next 7 subsection 2, clause B, notified services. What are notified? Municipalities, panchayat services functions notified. Another notification is with respect to license, liquor license by state government. This is notified. 7 subsection 3 is there, where government is having the power to notify whether it is a supply of good or supply of service, and can change also from supply of good to supply of service, supply of service to supply of good. Okay, so this is 7 subsection 3. Correct? Next, composite supply, mixed supply, section 8. Composite supply we have to take principal supply rate. Mixed supply we have to take highest rate. Okay, but naturally bundled or not has to be seen. If it is naturally bundled, it is a composite supply. If it is not a composite supply, it is a mixed supply. If a single price is charged, separate prices are charged for each and every product and each and every service means, then it is a separate supply only, not a mixed supply. If it is a mixed supply, highest rate to be taken. 5 clarifications has been taken here. Food and beverages in a cinema hall, rethreading of tires, bus body building, printing, everything has been taken up for clarification. Correct? This is the whole chapter, right? We'll take up the questions now. See, first question, Megras and Co. wishes to commence the business of supplying the ready-made garments within Punjab in the neighboring states of Delhi and Haryana. Kindly state as to what is the taxable event under GST and leviability of CGST, SGST, UTGST and IGST on the same. Okay, so Megras and Co. wishes to commence the business of supplying ready-made garments. So they wishes to do the business in goods. Okay, na? Supply of goods. Okay, so within the state of Punjab and in the neighboring states of Delhi, Haryana, what will come? Taxable event is supply of ready-made garments is a supply of goods. Okay, it is a supply and it is a supply of goods. Okay, which tax will come? Within the state of Punjab, CGST, SGST will come. If at all you want to operate in Delhi, they have to take separate registration for Delhi. If they want to take in Haryana, separate registration for Haryana, separate registration they have to take a. So if they are taking separate registration and supplying in the same state means, then CGST, SGST will come. If they are supplying from Punjab to Delhi, then IGST will come. If they are supplying, they are having a store in Delhi and supplying in Delhi, then CGST, SGST will come. Okay, Delhi branch and Punjab branch will become distinct persons. Okay, great. Okay, we'll check the answer. Taxable event under GST is supply of goods or service or both, made for consideration in the course or furtherance of business. CGST and SGST will be levied on the interstate supplies. IGST will be levied on the interstate supplies. Okay, so it is just the provision has been written here, but the context has to be taken. Okay, right. Next question, Damodar Private Limited, registered in Delhi, is planning to transfer some goods to its branch registered in West Bengal. Okay, Delhi to West Bengal. Okay, Damodar Private Limited. Okay, so without any consideration, so that the goods can be sold from the branch. Okay, from Delhi to West Bengal, goods will be transferred. From West Bengal, they will make the sales. Okay, the company believes the transaction that will be undertaken by it would not qualify as supply, as no consideration is involved. Ascertain whether the transfer of goods by Damodar Private Limited to its branch office would qualify as supply or not. Just tell me. It will be a supply, supply as per supply as per supply as per 7 subsection 1 clause C, clause C, schedule 1 para 3 2, schedule 1 para 2, as per this. In what is there in this para 2? Transactions between related person and distinct person. See here, there is registration in Delhi is there, registration in West Bengal is there. PAN is 1 on the name of Damodar Private Limited, but GST registrations are 2. For West Bengal different, Delhi different. 2 are distinct persons. If there is any movement between distinct persons, then it will be a supply. GST will be attracted. But if it is a movement of interstate movement of conveyance, then it is not a supply. Here the goods are being moved. Why the goods are being moved? For further sale. But still it will be treated as supply. If the conveyance is moved for further sale also, it is a supply. Okay, right. Check the answer. As per schedule 1, read with section 7.1c. Okay, schedule 1, read with section 7.1c. In that, supply of goods or services or both between related persons or between distinct persons, as specified in section 25, when made in the course or furtherance of business, is deemed as supply even if made without consideration. Okay, in the given case, since Damodar Private Limited and its branch located in another state are distinct persons, supply of goods between them qualify as supply. Correct? Right. Third question. Prithvi Associates. Prithvi Associates is engaged in supply of taxable goods. It inquired from its tax advisor as to whether any activity can be treated as supply even if made without consideration in accordance with the provisions of GST law. You are required to enumerate such activities. That means he is asking about schedule 2. Schedule 1. He is asking about schedule 1. Is there any transactions without consideration will be treated as supply or not? Okay, he is asking, right? Inquires from its tax advisor as to whether any activity can be treated as supply even if made without consideration. For a tax advisor, client won't be this clear. He cannot use these many technical terms like consideration is there, supply is there, consideration is not there. He cannot talk in that way. But anyway, so he is asking whether any transactions are there without consideration be treated as supply. Okay, so it is there under schedule 1. How many activities are there? 4 activities are there. 4 points are there. What are those? Permanent transfer or disposal of business assets on which ITs has been taken. Next, transaction between related person and distinct person. Distinct person as per section 25. Related person as per section 2 subsection 49. Related person definition. Okay, right. Next, transfer of goods from principal to agent. Agent to principal. Okay, next, fourth one. Importation of services for consideration. Without consideration during the course or furtherance of business from a related person or from own establishment outside India. Okay, just read what exactly there in the clauses in the paras. We know all the paras, but we should be knowing the presentation. We should be knowing the language. Question 4. Question 4. Composite supply is treated as supply of that particular goods or services which attracts the highest rate of tax for the purpose of considering tax liability. Examine the statement validity. Wrong? Correct? Wrong? Why? Composite supply is treated as supply of that particular goods or services which attracts highest rate anta. Principal supply is rate. Okay. So for the purpose of considering the tax liability, examine the validity of the statement. It is correct. Incorrect. So which attracts highest rate? Composites mixed supply attracts highest rate. Okay. Next, transfer of title and or possession is necessary for a transaction to constitute a supply of goods. Transfer of title and or possession is necessary for transaction to constitute a supply of goods. Question దేనిపైన? Last question లో section ఏంటి? What is the section for the fourth question? Fourth question, what is the section? Section 8. Section 8. So question number 5. Question is with respect to section 7. Okay, section 7 subsection. Subsection. Section 7 subsection. Subsection 1A. Read with schedule 2. In that para 1, 2. Transfer, no. Transfer of title in goods, transfer of right in goods. Correct? Para 1. Okay. Go through the answer. Transfer of, we need for a transfer of title and or possession is necessary for transaction to constitute supply of goods. See what we told there. Transfer of a title is also necessary, possession is also necessary. Then only it will be a supply of good. This we have studied now. Then only it is supply of good. Right? Only hire purchase transactions, transfer of title will be later upon payment of last installment. So title and possession both are necessary for a transaction to call it as a supply of good. So as per section 7(1)(a), read with schedule 2, para 1. Look at the answer for 4 and 5. Shall we move further? See here they are talking about 3 points. Title as well as possession both need to be transferred. Title, possession both need to be transferred. In case title is not transferred, transaction would be treated as supply of service. Okay. Next, possession may be transferred immediately, but title may be transferred at a future date in case of hire purchase transaction. So this is also supply of good, supply of service, supply of goods. Right. Next, question 6. Examine whether the following activities would amount to supply under section 7 read with schedule 1. Activities without consideration. Activities without consideration. Okay. Sulekha manufacturers have a factory in Delhi and depot in Mumbai. Both these establishments are registered in respective states. Finished goods are sent from factory in Delhi to Mumbai depot without consideration, so that the same can be sold from the depot. Supply as per 7(1)(c) schedule 1 Para 2. Okay, next, Raman is an architect in Chennai. His brother is settled in London. He is a well-known lawyer. Raman has taken legal advice from him free of cost with regard to his family dispute. Just tell me. Service recipient is Raman and his brother from London, who is an advocate, is giving service to him. Okay, free of cost. Free of cost. It is a supply of service. I mean supply. First of all, supply na. Supply. How? As per para 2. Para 2. Para 2. A para. Para 2. Para 3. Para 4. Okay. Would your answer, you are telling that this is supply as per para 4. Next, would your answer be different if in the above case Raman has taken advice in respect of his business unit in Chennai? That means for the purpose of business. Earlier it is for the purpose of family dispute, means personal. Here the purpose is personal. Here the purpose is business. Okay. See here. Here there is an importation of service. Importation of service. Whenever there is a case of importation of services, okay, 2 points need to be considered. With consideration, without consideration. Avuna? Without consideration. So with consideration means which section? 7(1)(b). 7(1)(b). It is not the case here. Correct? We need to check without consideration. So without consideration for importation of services, without consideration for importation of services to be a supply, what need to be checked? Whether it is from a related person or not. Whether it is for business purpose or not. Both shall be there. Both shall be there. See, importation of services during the course or furtherance of business from a related person outside India or from own establishment outside India. That is what is given in para 4 of schedule 1. Correct? Right. See, related person. So first case in the question 7b, what they are asking, like it is without consideration only. Okay. So Raman is a recipient. His brother from London giving advocate service. Okay. Purpose enti? Personal purpose. Personal purpose. Correct? Here he is coming under the definition of related person or not. That also needs to be checked. Whenever it is a personal purpose, you no need to check related definition also. It shall be for business purpose. In the third point, they are asking that would your answer change if it is a business purpose. So if it is a business purpose, then you need to check whether he is a related person or not. Okay. So related person definition you have to check. In related person definition, Raman and his brother are relatives, sir. Related persons, sir. How come they are related? They are related or not? How come they are related? Brothers because related. So as per section 2, they are not related. Unless and until they are. So Raman is a financially dependent person on his brother. Then only he will be treated as a related person. Otherwise, naturally they are relatives. They are born for same parents, sir. But still they are not considered as related persons as per the definition given under GST. Okay. Now they are not related. It is not said that they are dependent on one another. Okay. So that's why they are not related. If they are not related means that will not fall under para 4 of schedule 1. Okay, so in both the cases it is not a supply. In 7b 7b in 7b question number 7b it is not a supply. In 7c also it is not a supply. Okay, just look at the answer. There is a chance there might be a question on this area. Sorry, 6b, 6th question, that is. Yeah, okay. They have highlighted here, see, if they are wholly or mainly dependent on the same person. Wholly or mainly dependent on the same person. However, in the view of section 2, subsection 49, Raman and his brother cannot be considered to be related, as Raman's brother is a well-known lawyer and so not wholly or mainly dependent on Raman, and hence they are not related. Right? Even in third case, in the above case, if Raman has taken advice with regard to his business unit, still there is no change in the answer. Okay, because related person definition only not satisfying here. Okay, right. Right, we will solve next question, 7th question. Last for now. Then we will break for lunch. State whether the following supplies would be treated as supply of goods or supply of services as per schedule 2. Okay, renting of immovable property, supply of service, sale of immovable property, sale of immovable property, not a supply. Why it is not a supply? First of all, there is no goods or no service. Right. Goods forming part of business assets are transferred or disposed of by or under the directions of person carrying on the business, so as to no longer to form part of those assets. This goods forming part of business assets are transferred or disposed of by or under the directions of person carrying on the business, so as to no longer to form part of the business assets. Supply of goods are, that is nothing but permanent transfer of business assets. Permanent transfer of business assets, so as to no longer form part of the assets. Okay, if it is a temporary transfer, that just the usage has been transferred for a temporary period. Supply of service. Transfer of right in goods without transfer of title in goods. Supply of service. Okay, right. Last point. Transfer of title in goods under an agreement which stipulates that property shall pass at a future date upon payment of full consideration as agreed. This is supply of goods only. Just title will be delayed. The possession transferred, title will be delayed, transferred at a future date. Title will also be transferred, but at a future date. But still it is supply of good only. Okay. So here we will stop for lunch. Good afternoon. Welcome back after lunch. Post lunch, there will be some drowsiness. Sir. Huh? So all of you went back. Planning to sleep? Huh? Planning to sleep? Huh? Just straight away with AC. Right. Done with 7 questions, right? Now question number 8 we'll see. Determine whether the following supplies would be treated as supply of goods or supply of services as per schedule 2. Okay. Temporary transfer or permitting use or enjoyment of an intellectual property right, IPR. That is copyrights, trademarks. Supply of service. Okay. Any treatment or process which is applied to another person's goods. Supply of service. Okay. This is job work. Correct? Job work only. On another person's goods we are applying some process. So this is which para? Temporary transfer. Which para? Para number 5. Kada? Para number 5. In that the clause is temporary transfer or permitting the use of intellectual property rights, patents, trademark and all. Para 3. No, job not. I'm not talking about job work. I'm talking about intellectual property rights. In para 5, see the clause. Clause 5. Para 5. Clause A, B, C, D, E. Which clause? C. C. Para 5 clause C. Any treatment or process which is applied to another person's goods. Job work. This is 3. Para 3 correct? Para 3. Okay, next. Transfer of title in goods. Para 1. Supply of goods. Supply of goods. Para 1. Okay. Next. The goods supplied on hire purchase basis will be treated as supply of service. Examine the validity of the statement. Examine the validity of the statement. What is this? Wrong statement. Supply of services, supply of goods. Supply of goods. Okay, as per para 1 of schedule 2. Para 1 of schedule 2. Okay. Examine whether the activity of import of service in the following independent cases would amounts to supply under section 7. Okay. As per section 7, importation of service in the following independent cases amounts to supply or not, we need to examine. Okay. Miss Srinidhi Kaushik received interior decoration services for her residence located at Bandra, Mumbai from Mr. Richella of Sydney, Australia. The amount paid for the said service is rupees $5,000. Okay. Importation of service, whether it will comes under supply or not. Now you need to check what 7.1b and 7.1c schedule 1 para 4. Para 4. So after examining these two, you have to tell. Okay. Next, Miss Srinidhi Kaushik received interior decoration services for her residence located at Bandra, Mumbai from her brother, Mr. Varun, residing in Sydney, Australia, wholly dependent on Srinidhi. Further, Srinidhi did not pay any consideration for the said service. Para 4. Okay, whether it is supply or not. Wholly dependent. Supply or not? Supply na? Kada? Why? It is a supply. It is a supply. Importation of services without consideration. from a related person. It is a supply as per para 4. I think business is missing here. See, for her residence, for the purpose of business or not, for her residence, business is missing. Then it is supplier. Business shall be there in the course or furtherance of business by a related person, from a related person. Okay, right. So business is next. Will your answer change if in the above case Srinidhi has taken interior services with regard to her business premises and not her residence? Now it is a supplier. Now it is a supply. Okay. You just check these three questions, answers to these three questions, how it has been presented. First one, Srinidhi Kaushik received interior decoration services for her residence located at Bandra, Mumbai from Richel of Sydney. The amount paid for the said service is $5,000. A section, which section? Schedule 1 na 7.1b na? 7.1b interior importation of services for consideration. Importation of services for consideration. Whether or not in the course or furtherance of business. Okay, so business is relaxed, but still it is a supply. So first case, supply. Second case, not a supply. Third case, supply. Okay, just check the answers for last three questions. Right, question 11. Question 11. Dum Electronics has sold the following electronic items to Akbar retail store. Okay, refrigerator 500 liters taxable at 18%, stabilizer for the refrigerator taxable at 12%, LED television 42 inches taxable at 12%, split air conditioner 2 tons taxable at 28%, stabilizer for the air conditioner taxable at 12%. So the question is regarding composite and mixed supply. Okay, section 8. Okay, right. So Dum Electronics has issued a single invoice indicating price of each of the above items separately in the same. Okay, single invoice, but each item's price has been mentioned separately. Akbar retail store has given a single check of 1 lakh. Payment a single check of 1 lakh for all the items as a composite discounted price. State the type of supply and the tax rate applicable in this case. State the type of supply and tax rate applicable in this case. Naturally bundled. Naturally bundled. If it is refrigerator and stabilizer, naturally bundled. When other things are mixed, it is not naturally bundled. AC and stabilizer for AC, it is, but it is not happened like that, no. It not happened like that, right? Go for mixed supply. See, first of all, it is a composite supplier. It is a composite supplier. Naturally bundled. See, if only refrigerator and stabilizer is provided means it is naturally bundled. AC and stabilizer means naturally bundled. It is not the case, no. So all the products, 5 products are given. Okay, and that too single price has been charged. Single price charged. Each item's price has been indicated separately. Single price charged. Payment has been made by a single check, but price charged separately. Each item has been mentioned separately in the invoice. Each item's price has been mentioned separately in the invoice. You just need to check. Even it is not a composite supply. First thing we can eliminate. Now we need to check a mixed supply. So when it will be treated as mixed supply? If it is not a composite supply and items are charged at a single price, then it is a mixed supply, then the highest rate will be applicable. In this case, check now. In this case, you just check now. What happened? Payment is made with a check, single check, but indicating price of each of the above items separately in the same. In the invoice, invoice means bill. Hmm? They are indicating the price of each item. Hmm. Each item. Huh? Correct. They are neither composite nor mixed. No. Okay. See, in the given case, items supplied by Dum Electronics are not naturally bundled. Not naturally bundled. Only if it is AC and stabilizer, refrigerator and stabilizer, then it would be composite. But it is not the case. So all the 5 items has been provided at once. Okay. See, if it is not composite, we need to check mixed. We need to check mixed. But for a mixed supply, a single price has to be charged. That means single invoice and single value has to be there. But what had happened here? Each item has been mentioned separately. Each price has been mentioned separately against the item. Okay, that's why a separate rate. This is already made. We have already made a discussion with this. A separate rate has to be charged for each and every item. So this is neither mixed nor composite. Okay, right. See here in the ordinary course of business. Therefore, such supply is not a composite supply. Further, Akbar Retail Stores has paid a composite discounted price of these goods. Dum Electronics has not charged. See, payment is doesn't matter here. So you need to take into consideration how they have charged, how they have billed. Okay, in the invoice they have mentioned it separately. They have not charged a single price. So they have not charged a single price. They has not Electronics has not charged a single price for the said supply. Therefore, said supply is also not a mixed supply. Is also not a mixed supply. It is neither a composite nor a mixed supply. Supply of these goods, that is therefore supply of individual items which are taxable at respective rates applicable to them. Respective rates applicable to them. Got it? Okay. You just read the answer once. We'll go to next question. Right, question 12. Manikaran, a registered supplier of Delhi, has supplied 20,000 packages of 30 each to Mukhija gift shop in Punjab. Okay, 20,000 packets. Okay, each at 30 rupees. Each at 30 rupees comes to 6 lakhs. 6 lakhs. Okay, so to a gift shop in Punjab. IGST will come now. IGST na? IGST will come Delhi to Punjab. IGST will come. Each package consists of 2 chocolates, 2 fruit juice bottles, and a packet of toy balloons. Chocolates 18%, fruit juice bottles 12%, toy balloons 5%. Naturally bundled? Naturally bundled? Not naturally bundled. Hence, not a composite supply. Not a composite supply. That's why we need to check whether it is a mixed supply. So it is a mixed supply. Huh? How can you say? It is not naturally bundled. We have eliminated composite supply. Now it is a mixed supply. How can we say? Single price is there. Single price is charged for all the 3 items. Okay, single price is there. So determine the rate of GST applicable. Which rate? 18% rate will be applicable. So 20,000 package, 30 rupees each, 6 lakhs is the value of supply. 6 lakhs is the value of supply into 18%. How much? So this is the amount of GST to be collected. Next question. Gagan Engineering Private Limited, registered in Haryana, is engaged in providing maintenance and repair services for heavy steel machinery. For heavy steel machinery, maintenance and repair services by Gagan Engineering Private Limited, located in Haryana. For carrying out the repair work, Gagan Engineering Private Limited sends its container trucks equipped with items like repair equipments, consumables, tools, parts, etc. from Haryana workshop to its own repairing centers registered under GST law located in other states across India, where the client's machinery are being brought and are being repaired. Okay, so are you understanding? The question is on what? Question is on clarification, circular, which we have discussed in the morning, right? So interstate movement of conveyance, interstate movement of conveyance for transportation of goods or passengers, for repairs or maintenance. Sometimes this conveyance may be carrying what? Tools, spares, jigs. Okay, spares. So in that case, it is not a supply. It is not a supply. We have read that clarification, right? So discuss the leviability of GST on interstate movement of trucks. Interstate movement of trucks means interstate movement of conveyance. Conveyance from the workshop of Gagan Engineering Private Limited in Haryana to its own repairing centers located in other states. That is distinct person, distinct person or not? To its own repairing center in other state. In other state. That means a distinct person, right? So between distinct persons, there is an interstate movement of conveyance. That too for repairs and maintenance, and that too carrying tools and spares for repairs. Okay, in that repair center, repairs will be carried out for the machinery of the customers. So this is a supplier. Supply. This is not a supply. This is not a supply, and hence not leviable to GST. Okay. Next question. Sarvanna and Sons wishes to start supplying alcoholic liquor for human consumption in the state of Tamil Nadu. Therefore, it applies for license to Tamil Nadu government for selling liquor, for which state government has charged specified fees, license fees from it. Examine the grant of alcoholic liquor license by Tamil Nadu government to Sarvanna and Sons qualify as supply. Is it a supply? Is it a supply? Not a supply. See, they are not talking about alcoholic liquor. They are talking about the license of liquor. Alcoholic liquor is completely outside the ambit of GST. In Constitution has not given power. With respect to licensing of alcohol, licensing of alcohol is a supply. Yes, sir. License for doing business. License for doing business. Supplier. You are forgetting this much fast. In the morning itself we have made a discussion, and that too in the last hour. Section 7. Section 7 only. There is only one section in the entire chapter. 7. Okay. Subsection 2. Subsection 2, clause A. Clause A or B? Clause A or B? Clause A is with respect to negative list, schedule 3. Clause B is with respect to notified services. Central government or state government providing some activities, doing some activities, on which central government may bring a notification and tell that this is not a supply. Such a notification has arrived. We have seen, no? Liquor license given by the state government, that is a direct dialogue in the notification. So, and hence this license given by the Tamil Nadu state government is not a supply. See, giving license is a supply of service. No. This is a service. Giving license is a service. But this is outside the ambit of supply. Notwithstanding anything contained in section 7 subsection 1. Why notwithstanding anything contained in section 7 subsection 1? All the conditions given under section 7 subsection 1 are being met. It is a service. It is made for consideration during the course or furtherance of business. That's why it can be a supply. But still it is not a supply. Why? It is notified like that. It is notified by the central government that it shall not be considered as a supply. Okay. So this is the 14th question. Okay. Just have a reading of 12, 13 and 14 answers. 12, 13 and 14 answers. By this we have closed the questions part as well. But we have some examination questions and mock test questions. If you want, we can have a discussion now, or else we will start with charge. Point. Okay. So with respect to this amendment, sir, so we will have a discussion on the entire amendments in one separate class. Separate amendment class will put, or else this is a small amendment. When you taken together also, so collectively it will be hardly for fight and paste. That's all. Okay, right. So this is with respect to the, you know, this concept of reinsurance and insurance ceded co-insurance. Reinsurance, you know, insurance companies will take the premium, correct? So in order to mitigate the risk, so they will ask another insurance company to take the risk by giving some premium. That is what is reinsurance, about that. Okay, and co-insurance, that means two or more insurance companies coming together and taking the premium from the customer, and all of these companies are giving assurance. Okay, so that's what it is. So this is all about chapter 2. This is all about chapter 2. Okay, in this we have studied section 7 and section 8. Section 7, definition of supply. Section 8, composite and mixed supply. In section 7, 3 schedules are there. Schedule 1, 2, 3. Schedule 1, 4 paras are there. Schedule 2, 6 paras are there. Schedule 3, 6 paras are there. Right. Now we will be moving on to the